turn does mean that Tramp Street Smart Dog is exactly in range.
Yeah, but now David has the option of bouncing a Glimmer back to their any player's hand, and that is going to be Grandmother Willow being bounced back to Diego's hand. Still has the option to play it, hasn't used any of his ink this turn, and perhaps even has another Strength of the Raging Fire to be able to be hard cast, dealing 3 damage exactly on the other Tramp would get rid of it.
And that would then leave just 2 lore on the board. David will be on a 3-turn clock at that point. And here's the deal. And this is where I don't like to be when I'm playing Disney Lorcana. Your opponent's got a huge lead in lore, and you are basically being forced to just play keep away, to play board control. We do see it's actually the Angel ability doing 2 damage combined with a Mowgli Man Cub challenge that takes down the Tramp in the end. But just getting rid of your opponent's Glimmers isn't enough for Diego. You are 14 lore behind. You've got to establish a board and start getting some lore down.
Yeah, I do like this play even better, but still that pesky Emerald Chromacon, Diego doesn't like it at all. But we still haven't played any cards to the board, and that Troubadour is going to be bounced back to his hand, leaving our Angel Experiment 626 on the board. No ink yet used by Diego, can still replay the Troubadour if he so chooses, or there is 2 other cards available in his hand.
Well, we're going to be inking right now. It's going to actually be the Troubadour that gets inked. And it is that Shift Rhino Power Hamster. Although it's not shifted here, it is just played as a 4-cost. But at least it is a big, chunky body on the board that can start dealing with some of those Glimmers when they are exerted.
Yeah, because at least with this, if David quests next turn with any of these Glimmers, we will easily be able to challenge into them. But bringing back our Lilo Escape Artist now, Rhino Hamster, our Power Hamster, can challenge in here quite easily and get rid of this Lilo. But then David will have once again another Emerald Chromacon trigger.
And that is what's so sad about this point in the game. Bobby Zamaruski, a very nice trade with Angel Experiment 624. Now we see Rhino questing. David goes up to 15. Of course, the Lilo was played from the discard this turn, so you're not going to be questing with that. We are going to ink a Rhino 1/16th Wolf, pass back over to Diego. 5 lore remaining before David books his spot in the final. We are going to see Rhino Power Hamster is going to banish Lilo, but Emerald Chromacon is going to throw it straight back to hand. And David here is, Diego is 15 lore behind, and every time he banishes, one of his characters gets bounced back to hand with Emerald Chromacon.
Yeah, it seems like we are going to play Nani.
I don't believe we
Nani Stage Manager. It is a May trigger, so does not actually have to do it. It is a May. Obviously, clear here Diego chooses not to do it. He did whiff next time, doesn't want to send any key cards down to the bottom of his deck. Instead, right after we play our Nani Stage Manager, going to be playing the Doc Bold Knight to draw 2 cards. And here it is, that Lady Miss Park Avenue, allowing David to be able to return up to 2 characters that cost 2 or less back to his hand from his discard.
And we're getting the Bobby Zimmerowski, your favorite spray cheese kid, and the second one coming out here. It looks like it's going to be a Lady Elegant Spaniel, unless we're going to be changing our mind here. He's certainly thinking about it, and no, it is that Lady Elegant Spaniel.
Yeah, no Tramp on board, so bringing down that Lady Elegant Spaniel right now without a Tramp in play. He's not going to quest for an additional lore, but we are going to quest with our Rhino 1/16th Wolf, meaning bringing us up to 16 next turn.
1/16th Wolf brings us to 16 lore, and we're not got game on board for David, but we are mighty close. Doc is going to quest for 1. Diego finally off the schneid here, gets 1 lore. We are then using a bunch of ink. It looks like 4 ink being played, and he's hurling a thunderbolt into that Lady Miss Park Avenue. But since something was banished, Emerald Chromacon is going to come in. Nani Stage Manager goes back to hand. And we are inking a Rhino 1/16th Wolf to play the Angel Siren Singer.
Yeah, another great inclusion from Winter Spell that we got this new set. She does have the ability to Singer 3, and of course we didn't see it turn 1 for Diego as he was going second, but does have that new dog ability to be able to be played for one. But now David really putting on all the pressure, going to be able to play a Grandmother Willow into a Bobby Zimmerowski, into a Lady Elegant Spaniel, and that is most definitely game on board right there, Ross.
I agree, and there is a handshake. Diego agrees, and David is going to book his spot into the final of this Friday main event. One game away from getting a chance to play for the World Championship invite.
Yeah, unfortunately, that powerful hamster on the board for Diego was not quite powerful enough, and our Amber Emerald player is going to get himself through to the next round of our Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Ghent.
And this is very, very important to note. We are running two parallel events here. We've got the Friday main event, we have the Saturday main event. We are talking about the final of their main event, but you have to win that and then the grand final. And it is not one more game for a World's Invitation, it is two. Win your final to become your representative, there we go, of your main event in the grand final. Win the grand final, get to Worlds. I think we might have a bracket we can look at. I'm hoping we can have a look at the bracket. Otherwise, I just lied to everyone, and I'm very, very sorry. No, we actually have a look at David's deck list here, and this is the deck we just saw book the spot into the main event final here. Anything stand out there, Kim?
Nothing out of the ordinary, but did add back in those Emerald Chromicons that a lot of people are cutting, it seems, and against this deck definitely paid off. Not much item removal in Diego's deck, and he will be moving forward, David, into the next round. And I'm excited because after this next round, we are going to have a winner from our Day 1 Friday event and our Day 2 Saturday event. These two players that win the next round have battled their way essentially through two entirely separate DLCs, and it's going to come into a full circle moment where they're both going to battle it out for the all-important World's Invite.
That is very, very important. Before we get there, look, there's a bunch of people around the hall this weekend that you probably would like to have a chat with. There's too many people. What we can do, though, is we can have a chat with them for you, and maybe you're going to learn something.
Thank you, Ross. Yes, what an incredible matchup there. I am joined by the co-creator of the Disney Lorcana trading card game, Steve Warner. How are you feeling after I thrashed you earlier?
I've never gotten over it. Never will.
I will give you your opportunity for redemption, but enough about that. You just caught the tail end of that match there. Dogs beating Amber Steel in that matchup, and there's a lot of dogs in our Final Four. Does that surprise you?
A little bit, but I mean, there's been a little bit of time to figure out Winter Spell.
Sure.
And people have figured out some really good decks, and you know, hopefully people will be able to find out some neat tricks to work around dogs in the future.
Yeah, exactly. If a certain deck has a target on its head, then the community needs to react to that and find ways to beat it.
Yeah, and that's what I really love about the deck builders and the players and the pilots here, because they're always looking for those things where if a deck is playing really well, they figure out some sort of tech, some sort of way, some sort of thing, and to combat it. And they come back next time, and it's a new deck. And I really love when that happens.
I'm always blown away by the creativity of the Lorcana community. They find such interesting ways to attack the meta. So, yeah, a huge shout out to our players. We've got some more exciting games to go, and then it's going to lead us all to our best of 5, and we will be deciding, finding out who is going to the next World Championship. Steve, it's season 2 now. I know that you came to season 1 Europe, but I believe this is your first time coming to a season 2 European event. How's the experience been for you over the weekend?
Oh, this has been absolutely amazing. Over 4,000 competitors. That is incredible. Everything's been running well, and I mean, the stream's been great. Everybody in the hall has been great. The hall is wonderful. There's a family area. I saw people working on puzzles. Myself and Joseph and Alex from our design team have been playing people a variant of Pack Rush, which was a lot of fun. And so there's just all sorts of stuff to do for all different sorts of people. You could come to compete, you could come to hang out, you could come to cheer on your teammates. It's been amazing.
I'm glad to hear that. Can you give us a small insight on the variation of Pack Rush that you've been playing over the weekend? I'm sure people would love to hear it.
Yeah, I want to hold on to it for a little bit because we're just testing it right now.
Sure.
So we'll wait a little bit.
That's fine, but you've been enjoying playing it with players today.
Yeah, I think people have enjoyed just the absolute insanity that it can be. And so we'll take it back. We'll talk about it just like we did with Pack Rush, and we'll see if it can't be some of a fun thing to open up a couple packs with.
We love that you're constantly trying to find new ways for people to enjoy the game. And like you said, there's a huge community out there, not only the people that are the most competitive players, but families, collectors, people that are doing the puzzles, getting involved in quizzes and everything. It's such a highlight of just Disney fans and TCG fans coming together to create an incredible event. You must be very proud.
Oh, yeah. To see all sorts of people. Again, we have the collectors, we have the people that are here to be with their friends and their teams, and then we have, I saw probably one of the coolest Donald Duck framed collections, and he was collecting it for his wife, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. And that's what he was here for, to do, and it's just, stuff like that is really amazing that there's something for anybody with Disney Lorcana.
There really is. We do implore you, maybe you're just discovering Lorcana. If you're in a position to come down to a Disney Lorcana challenge, please do. We would love to have you. There's something for everybody, whether you want to get yourself to the World Championship, maybe you want to get involved with Collection Quest, maybe you just want to be around other Disney fans. If you're in a position to, please come down to Disney Lorcana Challenge. We would love to have you. We've got Infinity events coming up in June. Is that going to be chaotic, Steve?
I think that's going to be pretty chaotic.
In the best way.
We have all sorts of people building all sorts of deck. I can't imagine what they're going to get to do with an even larger pool and all of the things that they had earlier with the sets 1 through 4. So we'll have to see.
I am very excited. You could say I am thoroughly prepared. But that said, Steve, as always, mate, such a pleasure to get to have a chat with you. I'm sure you're going to stick around and be checking out that grand finals at the end of the day. That being said, I should stop yapping and we should get on with some more Disney Lorcana.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to do a shout out
to please.
Lorcana. So my personal cameraman and Taylor, Lorcana man, he's always been great. So I wanted to give a shout out to him and my family. My family, like my kids are home, dealing with everything at home. My wife has been here with me. She's been wonderful.
Amazing.
So thank you very much.
Love that. It's great to have you, Steve. Don't go anywhere. We're going to throw it back over to the casting booth for more Disney Lorcana action. We'll see you soon.
We are moments away from seeing our top 2 feature match here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Ghent. I am so excited to be here. How are you feeling, Joe?
I'm ready. And we're going to be seeing the deck lists in a minute. I was out there on the floor watching some of the action. Zan Syed is still in the tournament. It was a close 2-1 win in an Amber Emerald Dogs mirror. This is the deck list for Zan Syed, looking to become only the 2nd ever player to be a 2-time Disney Lorcana Challenge champion. That one of Ursula Deceiver is something I really love to see, because I've often said it's like the best amount of Ursula Deceivers to play. If you don't really want to play it, just play one, because then in the open deck list format, your opponent still knows that it might come, but that they kind of might just not respect it, and that's going to be a really interesting dynamic. 2 copies of Finnick, 2 Emerald Chromicons, all 4 Under the Seas.
You are correct. I think it's really interesting, you know, when players are building their decks, do they think about if they're going to get to this stage?
Yep.
Do they think about, of course, this open deck list situation? Because as we know, both our players will get the deck list of their opponent to have a look at and browse for a good 5 minutes or so before they go into their match. And so now we've got this other deck list here. It is an Amethyst Sapphire here. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, Maxime Ogre here. I'm looking at the deck list and I'm looking for that item removal, and I'm not seeing any of it, but there is quite a few interesting things. Bell Accomplice Mystic is in there, which you don't always see. Only 2 Genie Wish fulfilled. That could actually be really significant. 3 Iago Giant Spectral Parrots with that Vanish, and Delamoon's Lullaby is in Zan Syed's list as a 4 of. So that's an interesting dynamic to look at. Those 4 let it goes. There's also those 3 into the unknown. So lots of targets for Ursula Deceiver. 3 Isis Vanderchill is going to be an extremely interesting card in this matchup. That is that 4-cost uninkable 4/4. When you play this character, you may exert an opposing character. That could be a great way to disrupt that turn 3 tramp.
Exactly, yeah, and of course that all-important ink ramping for Sapphire. We saw those T-pose, we saw those Sail the Azurite Seas, all incredibly important to this ink color here. So here we are, we're kicking it off here with Maxime going first, playing a Rafiki down on the board here.
Yep, so remember now, these are the last 2 players in the Saturday main event. It's almost like a DLC final in of itself. 2,000 players in any other DLC in Disney Lorcana history. This would be the grand finals, but it is not the grand finals. These players will not secure that world's invitation by winning this match, because they're going to have to beat as well. The winner of this will be playing against the winner of the Saturday main event as well. Is there that turn 2 ramp? There certainly is with that Sail the Azurite Sea.
Oh yes, we're seeing it, Joe. We have seen it happen a few times today where our Sapphire players have not managed to get that all-important turn 2 ramp. But here we get it. Maxime's happy. We're going for it.
Yeah, Zansayed gonna, of course, on the draw here, be looking for that turn 2 Grandmother Willow to accompany that, a 1-cost character. That's what enables that turn 3 tramp, which is so difficult to stop. But Maxime, with those Isis Vanderchills in the deck, definitely has a way of disrupting Zansayed's turn 3 tramp, even if they find the Grandmother Willow. I have a feeling that Isis, 3 copies of it, could be incredibly significant. And it is that Grandmother Willow for Zansayed, and it is the Bobby. Now, does Maxime have that Isis to exert the Grandmother Willow or any other character and challenge with Rafiki?
We are going to see, but yes, that all-important Grandmother Willow, of course, for our Amber. It's a brand new winter spell card that's come out. We've seen a huge amount of play of it because it has been one of the biggest new cards to come in for Amber here that's had such a huge impact on Amber becoming a fearsome ink color once again in this game.
It's going to be let it go into the ink, and it's going to be Dumbo. Does Zan give anything away with their facial expression? No, but I'm sure that Zan is going to be really relieved not to see that Vanderchill. There's 3 copies of it in Maxime's deck, but it has not been found. Let me tell you, Jen, 3 copies of that Maxime 3 copies of the Vanderchill uninkable is a lot. And I really love the deck building from Maxime, but not finding it at this moment. But now the question, Jen, does Zan have the turn 3 tramp? No.
No is the answer there. Unfortunately, we're seeing a Bobby Cheese, Spray Cheese Kid coming down. We're going to draw a card and have to discard a card. He's clearly trying to search for what he needs here, but I'm not sure he's seeing it. And we've talked about before that Tramp Street Smart Dog is so incredibly important to this deck.
Having said that, with that Grandmother Willow cost reduction, with this Bobby entering the board, there are going to be 4 characters on the board, which means there is still a possibility for this Tramp to come through on turn number 3. If I'm not mistaken, going to be at 3 ink. The cost reduction is going to come through, so we could still see it from Zansayed. Really interesting.
Really, yes, truly. So I'm not sure. He's got to have a little bit of a think here, you know. He's clearly figuring out exactly what he's got in his hand. What is the best thing to play here? And I mean, if you didn't have the Tramp in this moment and you were playing Amber Emerald here, what do you think would be a good card to play?
Emerald Chromacon.
Yes.
I think Emerald Chromacon would be the next best play for Zan. Usually it's the kind of card you're going to be playing on turn 3 when you're on the play. There's only 2 copies of it in Zan's deck. What's it going to be? Nani would be a decent option as well. It's going to be a Lady Shift, adding 2 characters back into the hand. Those 2 cards that were discarded by Bobby the Spray Cheese Kid. And now Zan, it looks like, might just be questing without the Emerald Chromacon at all, leaving, though, that Grandmother Willow at the ready And of course, that Bobby is drying. So Zan not too worried about Elsa in this position, because of course could have just, if they accept that Elsa's coming down, there's maybe an argument that Zan could have quested with the Grandmother Willow, but a very conscious decision by Zan to leave that Grandmother Willow readied and almost force Maxime into playing the Elsa.
Of course. So we see that Elsa, as you were just talking about, that Elsa Fifth Spirit coming down, exerting the Grandmother Willow. And is it going to be taken care of? No, he's sending the Rafiki and the Elsa into the Lady and sending the Dumbo into the Grandmother Willow. So dealt with two problem characters on Zan's board there in one big fell swoop.
Yeah, and we didn't see the alter stage of this match, so I'm not sure exactly how much Zan altered, but not finding that tramp at this moment in time is a huge moment in this game. Again, Maxime has that Vanderchill in the deck to try and disrupt. They didn't find it, but on the flip side, Zan didn't find the card which needed to be disrupted in the first place, and I think that Maxime is sitting pretty right now.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a tricky situation for Zan in this in this scenario. You know, he's inking that one of Ursula de Ziva that we talked about before, playing another Lady here, Miss Park Avenue.
Yep, and another couple of characters back into Zan Syed's hand. So look, they're not getting that tramp through. They don't have the Emerald Chromicon, but these ladies are absolutely refilling the hand for Zan Syed, showing the power of these dual ink cards. Tramp is the talk of the town, but ladies not so bad either.
You are correct. Yeah, as you say, really like refilling Zan's hand repeatedly here. Incredibly useful, especially with not much draw power going on. Obviously, he had the bobbies, but you know, you draw and then you have to discard a card, so it doesn't actually give you an extra card. It just lets you cater your hand a little bit. And potentially also, you know, me and Kim talked about it earlier, utilizing Bobby to pop that Lilo Escape Artist into the discard, which of course can be then played again from the discard. But we see another Elsa Fifth Spirit coming down, exerting the Lady, and we're gonna banish her, and we're gonna banish the Bobby as well for good measure.
Yeah, and at this moment in time, this is where like Zan has kind of missed that window of opportunity to play the Emerald Chromicon. Very often there's like a one-turn window where Emerald Chromicon can absolutely shine, and I fear that window might have just been slammed shut. It's possible Zan could just about make it work this turn. The reason for that, Jen, is Emerald Chromicon, really powerful item, no item removal for Maxime, but if Maxime can just ignore Zan's board and just quest out themselves, then the Emerald Chromicon does nothing at all.
A Grandmother Willow coming down again for Zan. So that's going to really help him in this situation, try and build out that board. We know he's got quite a lot of cards in hand, so he's going to get another Lady down for one less ink, and a Rhino, choosing that Elsa for a -1 strength with the Rhino ability.
In comes Tramp as well. That's going to be giving some extra strength to one of Zan Syed's characters, but Bobby is going to be going on a quest and then passing play over to Maxime. So not getting any value out of that Tramp, although it's also always important to remember how much cost worth of characters does Zan Syed have on the board for Singing Under the Sea potentially.
That's a very good point, Joe. So Zan on 6 lore here to Maxime 0, but of course we do know, you know, questing big and fast near the... straight from the get-go is what Amber Emerald is kind of designed to do, whereas of course Amethyst Sapphire is built much more the other way around. You know, it's quite slow at the start because you're trying to get as much ink into your inkwell as possible so that you can then play all of those bigger cards.
Yep, Maxime got a quest for 1 with this Elsa. Of course, worth mentioning, this is a best of 3. We are going to be doing a best of 5 for that grand finals, but this is a best of 3. So very interesting situation here as we find ourselves in game 1. Zan Syed, of course, has 2 opportunities to break serve, as I've heard Frank Carsten call it. Being that player on the draw, it can be a little bit more difficult to win, and Zan Syed hasn't quite got off to that dream start in this match.
Yes, but we are only in our first match, so there is still time. There is still time for these players. You know, obviously next match maybe a little bit more advantageous for either of them. So, but we'll see. We'll see. So, if you're just joining us, first match of this final round here. We've got our top 2 from our Friday main event here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Ghent. So,
but there is going to be another final going on after this, because we essentially have like 2 big main events. We had the Friday main event, the Saturday main event. So we are going to be watching over the next couple of hours all sorts of high stakes Disney Lorcana trading card game. So get comfortable, as it's that Lady Miss Park Avenue coming through for the 3rd time for Zan Syed. If Zan Syed can manage to win this game without that tramp, without an Emerald Chromicon, without Under the Sea, it will be an absolute miracle. But they are making a real good effort of it. I am incredibly impressed at the state of the board for Zan Syed right now. They are putting in a lot of pressure on Maxime right now.
you are correct. Shooting all the way up to 12 lore there for Zan. You're right. I mean, it's been a bit of a disadvantage here for Zan going into this. As you say, no tramp, no, Emerald Chromicon, but really getting it. And 3 Lady Miss Park Avenues, which has been quite fun.
She's been the star of the show, Jen, hasn't she?
Yeah, she really has.
And it just really shows you the power of this Amber Emerald deck, even without some of its most core tools, just actually going like a traditional Amber Emerald quest. No control here has been the story for Zan. They are 8 lore away. The current board, those 2 Lady Elegant Spaniels are questing for 2. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lore on the board from Zan Syed coming out of Atlanta, United States.
This is a really tricky situation for Maxime. You can see him thinking hard here. He's doing the maths. He knows that Zan has game on board. He knows what he needs to deal with to stop Zan from winning in the next turn. But can he do so? I'm not sure.
Honestly, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I really thought that Maxime had this all under control, but we are now seeing Elsa not questing, but paying 1 ink thanks to that Dumbo making history ability, adding that 1 additional card to hand. Here comes Hades. This is what Maxime needs. The Infernal Schemer comes through. Dumbo challenges the Tramp, and Maxime is still in this game, but Zan is applying so much pressure. No tramps on the board, so ladies only quest for 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If Zan finds a tramp, that will be an additional 2 lore, which would still only mean 7 lore. Go to Margot, by the way, would be pretty unbelievable right now. Zan again has 5 lore on the board. A go-go would be enough to win it.
This is intense. We see a Mowgli come down. We're going to have a look at Maxime's board. No non-character cards to be discarded here, but of course we're getting information. We've got a Genie Wish Fulfilled, a Demona, and a Hades Infernal Schemer, which of course is potentially going to come down and try and get, all 3 of those characters might be able to deal with Zan's board currently, so that information is very vital. Yeah,
the information is so key here for Zan, because one thing that they could do is they could just say, okay, I need to draw Go-Go to win the game, so I'm not going to exert any of my characters, and that's going to mean that Elsa can't challenge anything. But with that Demona in play, there comes the Lady Shift. That's an additional lore out of nowhere. That's going to be a tramp added back to hand as well.
Oh my God. That's the 4th Lady Miss Park Avenue, I believe, that we have seen in this game. I did not think that we would see all 4 of that lady. Wow, shooting all the way up to 19 lore for Zan here. Incredibly done.
Oh, it's unbelievable, Jen.
And
it's absolutely crazy.
That is it. Maxime can't do anything here, and Zan takes that first game here in our final 2 of our Friday main event. Wow. Incredible.
I can't quite believe it.
No.
4 Lady Miss Park Avenue. That is a 5 cost.
And no tramps.
Uninkable. was the absolute star of the show. Who needs Tramp? Lady's doing it all.
She's great. She did so much in that game, and I still can't believe we saw all 4 of them. But yeah, I mean, it was just. It felt right at the start there, like Zan was really kind of struggling to keep a board. You know, everything he got down, you know, was being dealt with. But then after a while, it was just like, okay, well, boom, 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 boom. I now have all of these things. Can you deal with them? I don't think you can.
Yeah, and that's the sign of a great player, being so adaptable, finding the lines to win the game. Zan Syed just really... We're saying that it's like brilliant play, but really what Zan did there is they just went simple. They just played characters and they quested, and it was just about enough to get the job done. But of course, Zan really masterfully recognizing, actually, I've got to be a little bit unorthodox. I've got to show the flexibility of my deck. I've got to adapt to the situation. And didn't they do it brilliantly? Zan breaking serve in game number 1. Maxime will be on the play again. And let's not forget about that Vanderchill in Maxime's deck, which could disrupt that turn 3 Tramp.
Of course, we didn't see that Vanderchill come out in the first game there, so maybe we'll see it now. And of course, as you said, Maxime will be going first in this game, which is incredibly advantageous. And if you're Maxime at this point, we're currently in our altar phase. What are you hoping to get in that starting hand?
I'm looking for a 1-drop. I'm looking for ramp on 2, potentially, ideally, Sail the Azurite Sea and an additional 1-drop. That would be the best possible opener. And I'm certainly going to be looking for one of those Vander Chills to exert one of Zan's characters on Maxime's very 3rd turn, disrupting that turn 3 Tramp from Zan. And if you're Zan, you're going to be looking, of course, for that 1-drop. You're going to be looking for that Grandmother Willow and another 1-drop on turn 2 into that turn 3 Tramp.
Oh, yes. I'm really keen to see how this pans out. And as we know, in this game, especially at this weekend, we've seen obviously a lot of games on the feature table here. And it can swing either way, and you can have 3 matches in a round that are all very different to each other and how they pan out. So we could see a game here that is completely different to what we just saw. So I'm really, really excited to see how this pans out. Again, if you're just joining us, we are here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Ghent. This is our top 2 players from our Friday main event. We had Friday main event, we had 2,000 players, and then we had a Saturday main event, another 2,000 players. And today, those 2 main events have been going alongside each other up to this point. But here we are, we're kicking it off with a Rafiki on Maxime's board.
Yeah, both these players already won a Golden Mickey this weekend. Not Zan's first, that's for sure. Zan looking to become that 2nd ever 2-time DLC champ. It's going to be that lady on turn 1 for Zan Syed, Rafiki on the other side of the board. Fortunately for Zan, no hyenas in their deck, because that Rafiki is pretty good against hyenas, that's for certain.
Of course, yes, he has that secondary ability, doesn't he? I think it's easy to forget about because it's not something that is often comes into play.
I have quested my Banzai against Rafiki, totally forgetting about that second part of the ability, and it lost me the game on the spot. Not going to be relevant here, but Rafiki's still a really good option. Now look, I can see, Jen, in Maxime's hand, there is the Sail, and there is also that 4-cost uninkable, which we mentioned, which can exert a character from Zan's board. So I think this is about as good as it gets for Maxime in the opening hand. Yep, that is pretty much the curve I said that Maxime wants exactly.
I think you're right, getting that Sail the Azurite Sea out there to get that all-important ink ramp, and we've got another Rafiki on board. So passing back over to Zan here.
Can see the Tramp in hand this time.
Okay, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see him. He's gonna that street smart dog is he lost his smarts in the last game, but he's here now.
Yeah, Grandmother Willow, of course, would be the best play.
Yes, indeed it would.
We can also see with Maxime's hand that Grandmother Willow might not be quite as impactful as you might expect, thanks to that exert 4-cost. It is going to be Grandmother Willow. Zan has pulled it off, but we're about to see, I think, in the next turn, the power of Maxime's Isis Vanderchill not questing. This is going to be a big moment. I'm really interested to see the facial expression from Zan. They know it's in the deck. They're going to be hoping it's not here. This is a huge moment. Here it comes.
Oh, there it is. What are we exerting? We're going to exert the lady and send the Rafiki in to banish that lady. Of course, removing a shift target for that Lady Miss Park Avenue that we saw so much of in the first game.
Yeah, really interesting not to go for the Grandmother Willow, but respecting that lady that much. It's going to be tramp into the ink. Hello, Zan. We know he's adaptable. That is a different play entirely. Gets down the Emerald Chromacon. Let me tell you, everybody, get used to this Emerald Chromacon on the board because it's not leaving play. Zan knows that as well, but this is the main line to take against an Emerald Chromacon. If you can't remove it, just pretend it doesn't exist and start questing with everything.
It is not going anywhere. You are correct, Joe. So we've got an Elsa 5th Spirit coming down here, exerting the Grandmother Willow and bumping into it to send it to the discard, I think.
Yeah, it's going to the discard, but Zan is just holding that card in his hand so he doesn't forget about the Emerald Chromacon trigger.
Yes,
Emerald Chromacon,
of course.
every time one of your characters is banished during your opponent's turn, you may return a character card to one player's hand. You can choose your opponent, you can also choose yourself. In this instance, you definitely expect Zan to choose Maxime, but look at Maxime's board. 2 1-cost characters, not going to be that high impact. 2 characters which exert a character when played. And look, Zan not really happy about any of the decisions. I reckon it's going to be Elsa. It's actually going to be the Vanderchill. Perhaps just being that uninkable is the reason. Yeah, actually it makes sense, right? Elsa has Rush, the Vanderchill doesn't. So the Vanderchill is a little bit less impactful when played from hand. Zan spending the time to make the right decision, which I certainly did not in that instance. And that just shows why it's so important to slow down in those big moments. Zan Syed really thinking through that play.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised by that. I mean, but what you said about Vanderchill, of course, is an uninkable. It's not ideal. I would not personally have thought that sending Vanderchill back to hand would be a great idea because, of course, it has that on-play ability that can exert a character. Yep. I mean, is that what you would have chosen?
Well, I think if I'd spent a little bit longer, I don't know if I would have chosen it, but I do think it's the correct play.
Okay.
I think it's the correct play. The Elsa is often what you're going to be bouncing back in this instance, but it has Rush.
Yes,
the Vanderchill exerts, but it doesn't. You really don't want to be getting rid of these Rafikis. Maxime's just going to be able to play them down quite easily.
Yeah.
What you're looking to do with the Emerald Chromacon here is you're looking to kind of bounce back as much value into your opponent's hand as possible. And I do think that it was the correct decision from Zan Syed.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Great. Yeah, it kind of just slows them down a bit more. But we saw that Della's Moon Lullaby going down there, and I think it was the one of the middle Rafiki that was chosen for a -1 strength there.
Yeah, Zan just continuing to consider their options here. Not the best play with the Della Moon's Lullaby. Certainly would have been a lot nicer if there was an Iago on Maxime's side of the board. But in this open decklist format, that Iago arguably becomes that little bit better because you know what kind of cards your opponent's playing. Admittedly, against dogs, you expect to see the Della Moon's Lullaby regardless.
Yes, you definitely do. You really do. I mean, as we know, Maxime has no item removal here, so can't get rid of that Emerald Chromacon, but...
Just ignore it, Jen.
Yeah,
that's the line.
Mean, it literally is. He just has to ignore it and do what he was going to do regardless, because otherwise he's not going to be... If he's too worried about the Emerald Chromacon to try and remove any of Zan's characters, then he's not going to remove any of Zan's characters, and then nothing's going to work.
Now, I say ignore it. You also don't necessarily just totally ignore it. But
you have to be aware
for the most
of it.
part, you're going to be questing,
Yeah.
but there's definitely going to be some opportunities to take some interesting challenges. The key thing is just plan out the whole turn before you do anything else. And it looks like Maxime is going to quest with this Rafiki, expecting maybe Zan to bounce back the other Rafiki with hand. That's really interesting sequencing, but actually Zan takes the Elsa back to hand, which I'm not too surprised to see, but it's not the best thing to be bouncing back. and it is something that happens quite often when you've got the Emerald Chromacon. They play the Elsa, you bounce the Elsa back, and you just try and get a foothold in the match. For Zan, the important thing is Maxine's still only at 4 lore, but Zan really needs to start getting some questing in, needs to try and find some cards which refill the hand, things like that Lady Miss Park Avenue. I think that Nani is a decent start, but Zan not looking to be in a great position here, I think it's fair to say.
Unfortunately not, so I'm keen to see what he's going to choose from the Nani. Of course, when she comes into play, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck and choose a character card that is cost 2 or less to pop into your hand. So looking for something useful here.
Yeah, and the thing is, we talked about Zan being so adaptable, right? Inking that tramp and playing the Chromacon. But it's important to recognize that sometimes you don't even have the option of being adaptable. This Isis Vanderchill totally changed Zan's game plan and forced them to go down the route of the Emerald Chromacon. Of course, it's an uninkable card. If you can't discard it with a Bobby or a tramp, well, you've either got to play it or just leave it in your hand. I don't think this is the line that Zan wanted to take, but this Isis Vanderchill has had so much impact. Maxime with 3 copies in their deck, such a good metacal in this tournament, which has proven to be a bit of the dog show.
Yes, I love that. So we're passing back over to Maxime here. Only a Rafiki left on the board currently, but we know he has that Elsa 5th Spirit back in his hand that got bounced by the Emerald Chromacon. I think I saw he might have a second one in there as well, actually. But yeah, 4 cards in hand. So not in the worst position in terms of hand advantage. You know, he has some options here, but what is the best play?
It's a good question. Well, Maxime's going to start off with Elsa exerting the Nani, then Rafiki's going to challenge it. Okay, look, Zan's probably going to be bouncing back. Well, I'm a bit confused as to what just happened there. Why does the Elsa have damage on it? Didn't the Rafiki challenge it? We'll work that out. I'm a little bit confused exactly what happened, but we'll be sure to work it out. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, I think it was just a mistake.
Yeah,
or...
never mind. It doesn't matter either way. That Elsa's been bounced back to hand with the Emerald Chromacon. And again, this is what you expect to see. The Elsa is coming up and cleaning up, but Xanis is continuing to bounce it back. They're looking to use this Emerald Chromacon to just keep Maxine from questing. Okay, the Elsa's not the best thing to be bouncing back, but if you do it every turn, it is slowing Maxime down significantly. And now Zan suddenly maybe can go start going wide here and really starting to get some questing power down. The big thing missing is that Lilo escape artist.
Exactly. But yeah, nothing on Maxime's board to currently threaten Zan if he's able to build his board back out and get questing. Currently, not much that Maxime has going on, but yeah, it's.
That's not a good turn.
No, it's really not looking. Honestly, it's not looking great for either of our players here. But that was not ideal for Zan.
Yeah, that was a big moment for Zan. That was like that opportunity. The Elsa had been put back to hand. There's no cards on Maxime's side of the board, but can't really get anything going here. Just paying 2 for Delamoon's Lullaby to draw a new card and do nothing else. Again, those Lilo escape artists would have made all the difference. And let's not forget why Zan finds himself in this position. It was that Isis Vanderchill from Maxime totally disrupting Zan Sayed's extremely powerful game plan.
Yes, absolutely. Really, really rough position. But we see another Vanderchill. We were just talking about her, and there she is coming down again.
Yep, and it's going to be only that from Maxime. Again, not the most impressive turn.
Unfortunately,
it's fair to say. 3 ink was still available for Maxime. Now Zan, he used that last turn to just sort of draw another card. Here's the fascinating thing about the Emerald Chromacon gen, right? We saw in game 1 without it, Zan just turned sideways like a traditional aggro deck.
Yes.
The Emerald Chromacon really changes things because it allows you to be an incredibly slow aggro deck, which is kind of like an oxymoron. You still quest, your opponent's forced to challenge, but you can just win a really, really slow match. So it really does totally change the dynamic. There we go. That's Zan's favorite card.
Yes, the star of the show in game 1, Our Lady Miss Park Avenue, allowing Zan to grab 2 characters from the discard that have 2 cost or less, which is big. It's big, I think. If you know we know he's gonna choose the right cards because he's a very skilled player.
Yep.
So yeah.
And
great.
Jen, we talk about this Isis Vanderchill, right? But it wasn't even an easy decision for Maxime.
No.
Do you go for the Grandmother Willow on this 3rd turn, or do you go for the Lady? And if we actually cast our minds back to that 3rd turn from Maxime, it was the Lady 1 cost that Maxime exerted and then challenged that 1 cost Lady, totally denying Zansayed that early shift line. And Zansayed has only just recovered, and in comes Hades.
Hades Infernal Schema, sending that lady into the inkwell. Get out of here, you pretty dog.
Yeah, and that is not going to trigger the Emerald Chromacon. That has not been banished. It has been sent to the inkwell. A great way of mitigating the potential value of that Emerald Chromacon. And Maxime is finally starting to get a little bit more lore on the board. 5 lore to 2 in their favor. Zansayed, again, it's a big turn. They need to get some questing power through, or it's going to run away from them very quickly at this point.
Of course, you are correct. You know, cards like Hades Infernal Schema, Let It Go, for example, all sending characters into the inkwell rather than banishing them. So, of course, the Emerald Chromacon does not trigger on that because it is when a character is banished.
Yeah, and we know how strong this Tramp is, that street smart dog, but if you've only got 1 character on the board, well, it's not so good, and Maxime is just making things so awkward for Zan. Again, I really can't stress enough the brilliance of the deck building from Maxime to put in this tech card, this Vanderchill. It really has made all the difference here.
It has indeed.
So if you're a purple player, I would recommend 3 copies of Isis Vanderchill moving forward.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of her from now on. I think that's for sure. But we've got a Lady Decisive Dog down on the board here, alongside that cute little Rhino and our Emerald Chromacon. Very important item.
Only 1 ink spent so far for Zan. We did see that like a couple of turns ago, basically nothing done by Zan. They paid 2 to draw a card, of course, just replacing itself. So you would expect that Zan does have a decent amount to work with in hand. Another lady would be pretty big to keep refilling that hand. It is going to be the Tramp.
It's the Tramp. We did not see him in the first game, but here he is now. Of course, being able to draw Zan 2 cards because he has 2 other characters on board, but of course he then does have to discard 2 cards. But, you know, he can choose the right cards that he needs in this moment.
Where is that Lilo Escape Artist?
Yeah,
that is
where
what
is she?
Zan is surely looking for. 4 copies in the deck list. Well, there it is. No place I'd rather be. That Lilo Escape Artist ability. When it's in the discard at the set phase of the turn, you may pay 2 ink to play them exerted. Not usually all that impressive, but the synergy there with the Emerald Chromacon is absolutely unbelievable. And actually, Jen, the first time I ever saw that synergy in action was watching Zansayed in Bologna playing this Amber Emerald deck.
Wow, that's like a full circle right there.
Yeah, absolutely it
I
is.
love it. We love a good story here. We really do. So going back over, yes, we're back into Maxime's turns now. Yes, I got so distracted by that cute little story. I love that. Yeah, so going back into Maxime's turn now, checking Zan's got 3 cards in hand. Yeah, I think Maxime has 4 cards in hand still, so...
Yep.
Yeah, still has some options. I saw an Elsa 5th Spirit there. Yeah, which is coming down. Yep. What are we going to exert?
And again, Maxime's game plan here is just to make things as little value as possible for Zan on that Emerald Chromacon, because currently all 3 characters on Maxime's side of the boards have on-the-play effects. So Zansayed now going to challenge this Tramp with the Elsa. Look, we talked about the Vanderchill. Well, look at that. 4 strength combining with Elsa to take down Tramp. Emerald Chromacon, though, will trigger. And again, Maxime has just done a masterful job of making that Emerald Chromacon as little value as possible. Wasabi, I don't need him, says Maxime. I'm just going to outplay well, I'm just going to maneuver my way through the matchup against the Emerald Chromacon by clean play, and I don't need that item removal to deal with it.
Of course, really, really tricky decision here for Zan about which of these characters to bounce because, of course, as you say, all of them have very, very powerful on-play effects, which Zan is not going to want Maxime to be able to do again. I think the worst choice in this scenario would be to choose Hades to bounce back to hand because, of course, then he's going to come back in, send a character to the Inkwell, and that doesn't trigger the Emerald Chromacon. So, yeah, it's going to be one of the other two, but which one is it going to be?
Yeah, and again, that tramp in hand, everyone, is the tramp which has just been banished.
Yes.
Zan's just keeping it in his hand while he considers, and again, goes for that Vandature. I think that makes sense.
I agree.
Worth noting, Jen, there was a couple of other options people might not have considered, which was don't do anything. You don't have to trigger the Chromacon.
Oh, of
and
course,
you've always got the option of returning one of your own characters to hand as well. Doesn't make much sense in this scenario, but it definitely can with something like a Bobby Spray Cheese Kid or a Nani.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah, of course. It is a you may option. You don't have to utilize the Emerald Chromacon if you don't want to. But I do think, you know, it just slows down your character a little bit more. And I agree that I think the Vandature was the best choice in this situation. So, because, you know, as you said before, she doesn't have Rush.
Yeah.
If she had Rush, it would be absolutely insane.
It would be, yeah.
Like, that would be a crazy card. She's already powerful, but that would be wild. But we're passing back over to Zan
Lilo.
Here. Yeah,
Will
Lilo.
Zan take the no
It
place I'd
looks like
rather
he
be ability?
is. Yes, he is. So coming back, being played from the discard, exerted, so is vulnerable, but she's there, and it's another thing for Maxime to have to deal with on his turn. If he doesn't deal with her, then of course she will ready at the start of the turn and be able to quest.
Yeah, again, the first time I ever saw this Lilo Emerald Chromacon deck in action was perhaps one of my favorite all-timer games of a Disney Lorcana Challenge. It was Zan Syed versus Jan Moy, who recently joined the Ravensburger game design team. It was an absolutely brilliant battle, and Lilo Escape Artist just got Zan across the line. But here comes another Lady Miss Park Avenue.
Our beloved, we've seen her so much in this round so far, and she's doing so much. She really is. She's still the star of the show, even in this second match. I mean, obviously she was in the first match, but yeah, doing so much for Zan here. He's going to go back into his discard and get 2 characters again from the discard, really filling up that hand.
I love dual ink cards. I've said that Winter Spell is my favorite set for a really long time, Jen. I would love to see some more dual ink cards because we can see what these dual ink cards can do. This deck is the perfect example of just how brilliant they can be. This lady can only be played in Amber Emerald, and it's putting in so much work. Zan Syed is starting to mount a comeback in this game too.
Oh yes, going up to 2 lore there, having taken out half of Maxime's board. He's still got an Elsa in play, but it can't really do a huge amount at this point. It could challenge into that Lilo Escape Artist, of course, would still be able to come back into play from the discard. But yeah, still quite a few cards in Maxime's hand. We're going to ink a Demona.
Honestly, I've got to say, I am so impressed by what I'm seeing from Zan Syed. Take nothing away from Maxime, but Zan has just not really had the best opportunities to get their perfect curve, and all credit to Maxime. Maxime has made things so difficult for Zan, but Zan is just somehow hanging in there, getting every drop of Inca value out of their glimmers, and it is brilliant to see Maxime suddenly not sitting so comfortably.
Definitely not. So we're sending the Elsa into that Miss Park Avenue lady, finish her off, send her to the discard. The Emerald Chromacon, of course, could have triggered there, but nothing left on Maxime's board.
Yeah, the one thing you might want to consider in this at this point is like adding the Rhino back to hand to get an Under the Sea later on, but seems unlikely. Zan did just make sure they didn't want to do anything, which is always important to do.
Yes, of course you can, of course, bounce one of your own characters. But we see 2 Isis Chills coming into play here. Wow, I didn't think I was going to see 2 of her suddenly appear out of nowhere in a chill, frosty blizzard there. But yeah, wow. So, back over to Zan here. We've got our Lilo, our Tramp, and our Rhino on board alongside that Emerald Chromicon.
Yeah, the Emerald Chromicon is doing so much in unison with that Lilo Escape Artist. Well, here comes Mulligan. There's only 2 cards in hand for Maxime. Imagine if it hits, and it absolutely does.
Wow.
That Junior Woodchuck guidebook is being discarded, but no cards drawn from it. Mowgli Mancarb making a huge splash here.
Yes, he is. No card draws for you, Maxime. No Woodchuck guidebook here.
Have a better look is the name of that ability, and yep, they certainly did. And it was a good look indeed. Zan Syed is very close to taking the lead. Look, the thing you've got to do with this Emerald Chromicon deck is find a way of getting more characters down on the board than Maxime. It's been so slow, but that's the power of the Chromicon. And you also just have to ask the question, has Maxime taken the right lines to be challenging constantly rather than just questing? Well, I think it's an impossible position to be in, but at some point in the game, Maxime made that decision to challenge, to challenge, to challenge. They haven't really got the questing power, and Zan Syed has just about been able to claw their way back into it.
Ooh, okay, Hades looking for a deal from Maxime here and choosing the Lilo Escape Artist, which of course would go to the bottom of deck, so would then no longer be able to be played from the discard, but Zan denying that and allowing Maxime to draw 2 cards instead with that awful, awful deal that Hades offers.
Yeah, that is the power of this Lilo. And I've got to say, the Hades in this spot, it's not all that good. Okay, Maxime doesn't have that many cards in hand, but with the Emerald Chromicon in play, every card added to hand isn't as much of as an impact as you would think. Admittedly, that Mowgli Mancarb denied quite a bit of card draw, right? So the card draw is still extremely valuable. Of course it is, but Zan is just going to continue now to bounce back cards into Maxime's hand, which probably means that Maxime is just not going to have enough ink to play everything. Lilo will be banished. Zan now thinking on that Emerald Chromicon trigger.
Yes, I think you're right that the Hades looking for a deal is not the Hades maybe that Maxime wanted to see. Is probably the Infernal Schemer would have been a bit better in this situation.
Admittedly, 2 cards in hand is still nice. It allows you to just keep inking and keep trying to get as many resources down as possible. That's what Maxime's trying to do, right? Let's not forget, Zan had a slow start. So at this stage in the game, Maxime has an absurd amount of ink, and we're getting to that point in the game that they could play Elsa and then challenge, Emerald Chromicon bounces Elsa back, and then you just replay Elsa again. Once Maxime's at that 10 ink mark, which they're getting really close to, that Emerald Chromicon bouncing back Elsa isn't quite as impactful as it otherwise would be. But you know what is still just as impactful? That Lilo Escape Artist continuing to give Zan glimmers on the board. Zan just needs to go as wide as possible, keep more characters on the board than Maxime, and Lilo is the key piece in the puzzle of achieving that.
Exactly, and we've got a Cheshire Cat inexplicable down from Maxime here, which we haven't seen yet in this round. So I was quite excited to see that come down here. I really do love this Cheshire Cat. It's well loved by the community. It's played a lot.
And feared.
It's and feared.
I fear it, Jen.
Loved and feared. I fear it too. Let's be honest, we all fear that cat. But yes, seen a lot of play of it. It's not often at the moment, at least, that you're seeing Amethyst decks that aren't playing a Cheshire Cat, because its ability to move damage around is so incredibly useful, that boost ability. So it is going to help Maxime in this situation, I reckon, in the next turn. Able to, if Zan decides to quest, which of course he's going to want to, whether he will, we will see, you know, being able to deal some damage and then move it around with the Cheshire Cat, might be very useful. But we've got a Della's Moon Lullaby and targeting the Hades there to minus its strength.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to work out what Zan's actually played this turn. There was 2 ink spent on that Lilo,
On the Lilo,
2
yes.
ink on the Delamoon's Lullaby, and I'm not quite sure exactly what else was played, as it does look like there's 2 ink exerted. I'm not sure, it might have actually just been like a dexterity error on Zan over exerting the ink. I'm not totally sure, but I'm sure they are gonna, oh, in fact, it was ready, I'm just blind, as it turns out.
Yes, no, it's a little bit harder to
A
tell.
bit of a camera trick, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to tell with the black sleeves I
Yes.
found this weekend. So, yeah, easy mistake to make. It did look, it looked
It was a
weird.
bit of a camera trick.
Yeah. We blame the sleeves, it's fine, yeah.
Yeah, easy.
But we've got a lady, decisive dog coming down there very decisively from Zan.
Yeah, and Zan is 8 lore away from winning the Friday main event. This 2,000 player, almost a DLC in of itself. But again, the winner of this will not be qualifying for the World Championships. That is going to be all to play for in our grand final. We are, at the moment, there are 2 of these finals happening. The Friday main event final, which we're watching right now. There's that Saturday main event final going on as well. And then the winner of each will be battling it out in a best of 5 to determine who secures that all-important and precious Worlds qualification. And let me tell you, Jen, that is exactly what Zan has his eyes on, as I'm sure Maxime does as well.
Absolutely. I think all of our remaining players here, of course, only 4 remaining players in this tournament of 4,000 that we've had here this weekend in our main event. All eyes are on that top prize of the World Championship invitation.
Yeah, we have actually just seen Zan take the lead in terms of lore for what might be the very first time in this game. There is the Vanderchill. Now, if I'm Zan, I'm looking at those 2 damage counters on that Vanderchill. I'm looking at that Cheshire Cat, and I'm thinking that the Vanderchill might have to go. But Zan decides, in fact, it's the Cheshire Cat which has to go. Of course, worth noting, this Cheshire Cat might just come straight back down and boost immediately. Zan is going to be fully well aware of that when making the decision with the Emerald Chromacon. So really interesting to see that Zan doesn't really care about this too much. It is going to be Lilo who is going to be banished thanks to that Cheshire Cat boost. Of course, now the Vanderchill will be returned to hand yet again. I think Zan Syed here, as Vanderchill's replayed, and it is going to be the lady that's exerted, and Hades challenges the lady.
I am wondering if the Vanderchill might have been a slightly better decision, as you said, because it had that damage on it. Yes, of course, getting rid of the Cheshire Cat, but it was going to come back down anyway. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, and also worth noting the Delamoon's Lullaby from Zan in the previous turn is why Hades is only 1 strength.
Of
if
course.
people are wondering why there's only 1 damage on Lady, yeah, it's fascinating. I think that Zan is basically just saying, okay, you can boost your Cheshire Cat and remove my character, but you're going to have to spend 5 ink to do it. There's the one of.
The one of Ursula Deceiver. We're going to have a look at Maxime's hand. No song cards there, song action cards to discard, but of course.
Mowgli's going to have a look as well, just for good measure.
Mowgli's going to have a check, just, double check it. We've got to double check it. But all important, as we talked about before, that all important information.
Yeah, and Zan now creeping ever closer to 20 lore. Can they seal the deal? Can they seal the deal? We're going to have to wait and see. Maxime is ready and waiting.
Yes.
It's a really, really tense moment. Maxime calculating, looking over at Zan Syed's board. Can they do anything to stop it? Cheshire Cat, Hades, and Isis Vanderchill on the board.
There's the handshake. Wow. That is it for this Friday main event final here. Wow. Zan takes it. What a display.
What a deck by Maxime, by the way.
Oh,
honestly,
yeah.
This Isis Vanderchill, absolutely brilliant to play 3 copies. Zan's walking past me. He looks very happy.
Yeah.
And who can blame him? Zan, come on, give us a little celebration on the camera. Yeah, come on, Zan. Come and give us a little celebration. He's feeling good, and he's looking for that World Championship qualification.
Well done,
I need one more, though. I need one more.
He needs one more, he says.
Oh
Good
my
luck.
gosh.
Get some rest, Zan. We're going to see you back for that grand final very, very soon. But before that, we are not done because we've still got to wrap up that Saturday main event and see who will Zan be playing in the grand final for that World's qualification.
Yes, we are going to jump into that shortly, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But wow, what a game that was. Like, truly, it was just such a masterful display of both of those decks and also just like of both of those players.
Yeah.
Incredibly strong, fierce players there.
Yes.
It was really, really something to see.
Zan, honestly, like I know he's got a reputation for being one of the best players in the world, but that might have been the best performance I've seen all weekend. When you see playing like that, it's no surprise. Zan is undefeated this whole weekend. They went 9-0 and then took 3 draws to guarantee that top cut. They are totally undefeated in a room full of 4,000 Illumineers. But who will Zan be playing in that grand final? We now have the Saturday main event final. We're hopping in with game 2 in this Amber Emerald Dogs mirror.
Let us see it. I got a chance to talk to Irvin earlier, and he was a very, very lovely guy. It was a very interesting match that he had earlier that we talked a little bit about. But going into this, both these players done incredibly well, of course, so far. But as you say, fighting it out now to see who will go up against Zan in our all-important grand final here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Ghent.
Yeah, and we can see that it's going to be that second Bobby from Irvin on turn 2. They've already discarded that Lilo Escape Artist, which we know is going to be No Place I'd Rather Be ability is going to be very, very relevant for that Lilo potentially in this match. And it's that triple 1-drop by turn 2 from Irvin, one of my favourite openers in Disney Lorcana. Having said that, you know what's better than that? A Grandmother Willow on turn 2 and a 1-drop.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. That would have been a little bit nicer. Ooh. And we see that Ursula Deceiver. We're going to have a look at Irvin's hand. No, nothing can be discarded, but he also has an Ursula Deceiver in hand.
Yeah, so good information, and that's kind of the downside of a card like Ursula Deceiver and Mowgli. You don't know if it's good until you actually play it. Having said that, information is certainly power, knowledge is wisdom, as Lilo Escape Artist is already entering the fray. We haven't seen a dog mirror for a while, or certainly I haven't when I've been casting. The key really here often, Jen, is who gets that under the sea through first. But we have seen a couple of times on stream, and I also saw Zan Syed do it earlier on in his top 4 match. He got hit by Under the Sea first and was still able to claw his way back. So it's not just about who gets the Under the Sea through first. Okay, it's usually the case, but there's a little bit more nuance to it than that. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how these two brilliant players maneuver their way through this game number 2.
It really is. I mean, an Amber Emerald mirror match is a very interesting thing. We have seen at least one, I think, this weekend, which I definitely casted on before. I think it was with you. Yeah, I was going to say, I was with you, wasn't it? We've done so many games this weekend. It's been amazing, and I just lost track a little bit. But we saw a mirror match, you and I, and it was unexpected, I think, to say the least. So, yeah,
it was like a lady shift line into Under the Sea on turn 3, but they still managed to lose the game. But here we go. It's going to be Nani on turn 3. What are you looking for in this moment? Well, that Lilo Escape Artist has been inked. Of course, Nani, if you've got 40 characters, you're looking at like a 99% hit rate. If you play 40 1- and 2-cost characters, usually it's going to be a bit lower. If you go as low as 24 1- to 2-cost characters, it's still an 80% success rate. The more 1- to 2-cost characters, the higher the odds of Nani. I have not seen Nani miss all weekend.
I have.
Oh.
It happened earlier.
Oh.
Kim and I, when we were watching a game earlier, and it happened. And Kim said that you had told her the percentage of a Nani missing, and it's something ridiculously low, like a 0 point something something.
Yeah, and it depends on the amount of 1 to 2 costs, right? We see some decks only playing like 27, and the more you play, the more consistent the Nani is, and you're really rewarded for that deck building decision making. But here we go. Irvin's turn to have a little peek, and there we go, under the sea, into the discard. Unlucky for Davide. Of course, it's that uninkable song card, and it has been dealt with.
Yes, definitely. He will have been very, very happy to see that go into the discard. No, thank you. I don't want you to play that card.
Yeah, and honestly, who can blame him? Of course, that uninkable could have been discarded by something like a Bobby Spray Cheese Kid, but it certainly cannot be inked. It looks like we might be seeing a Nani into the ink. What's that card? It's that Tramp coming in at the top of your screen, that 2-cost Tramp, which is going to be giving something a bunch of extra strength. But look at this, Irvin just happy to keep the board. Now imagine here a Lady Shift under the sea. Of course, that Ursula just denied the under the sea, but there's always the opportunity to top deck another. It's going to be Nani now for Davide.
Another Nani. And as you say, we were so shocked earlier when me and Kim did see that Nani not be successful, and then Kim was talking about the percentage of that happening being so incredibly low, and it was just such a shocker. And I remember seeing it on the players' faces that they were both incredibly surprised that nothing came from it. But there, it did work out for David there. I think he maybe have taken a Grandmother Willow. I didn't quite see.
Yeah, and then we're going to see another card coming at the top of the screen. I believe that is that Tramp Street Smart Dog. It's going to be a bunch of cards drawn, a bunch of cards discarded. I think it's fair to say that Irvin is looking like they are in the ascendancy, but it can all change with one 8-cost Sing Together song sung at the right moment.
Oh, yes, of course. When Tramp Street Smart Dog is played, you can draw cards equal to the amount of other characters you have on the board, which currently is 6, so draw 6 cards, but then you also have to discard that many cards. So it's not going to get him any more cards into his hand, but it does let him have a little peek and decide what he wants to keep.
Yeah, and this Ursula, again, discarding that under the sea from Irvin was so crucial. I said Davide might be a little bit unlucky to have that uninkable song in hand, but, I mean, to be fair, Davide was probably looking to set up the under the sea. It might well have been a conscious decision. Really, the best thing that you can do in this matchup, Jen, is just have a board, build it up so you're ready to sing under the sea, and just draw it off the top of your deck at the right moment. If it's on the top of the deck, Ursula's not going to be able to discard it, and neither will Mowgli.
Oh, yes, he will be really, really wanting to see that under the sea now. Unfortunately, having lost that under the sea before to that Ursula Deceiver.
And then we're going to see that Lady Shift, that Miss Park Avenue, 2 cards which cost 1 or 2 added back to hand. Go-Go Tamago's in there, I believe. It's going to be a Daisy Duck for starters. Daisy Duck, not the best card in the mirror matchup usually, right? Tons of characters in this Amber Emerald deck. Daisy Duck not really doing her best work in the mirror matchup. It's really like a card aimed more at dealing with Blurple, for example.
Exactly. But a huge board here for Irvin. Not a terrible board size for Davide here, but I mean, in comparison to what Irvin has on board, it might not be doing quite enough. And it's worth noting, I think, as well, I've mentioned before on the stream this weekend that I personally don't feel particularly confident playing these kinds of decks myself, because I don't feel the lack of control, I think, in terms of being able to deal with your opponent's board freaks me out.
Yes.
So when you're in a situation when you've got 2 of these decks that don't really have that kind of control ability, it's like you just see these huge boards happening. It's wild.
It can be a huge swing in a single moment, right? Because they don't have that much control, but all you need is that little sprinkle of under the sea, and it can make all the difference. Irvin now at 8 lore, Davide at 0, still yet to score. But again, it can all change in a single moment. One top deck can be all it takes to swing the game entirely. Davide getting that Grandmother Willow down on the board. 2 inks still remaining, Jen, but let's not forget about that Grandmother Willow ability.
Oh, yes, of course. Grandmother Willow, meaning that you can pay 1 less ink for the next character you play this turn. We see him exerting 2 ink here. Maybe play a 3-drop character, perhaps utilizing our Grandmother Willow to be able to get it out for cheaper. What's it going to be?
Yeah, and we're talking a lot about Nani and how it is, as we do see Nani come through again, how it's really consistent. It's giving you the 2-cost characters in hand. What it's also doing is it's giving you actually a lot of knowledge about how likely you are to draw your Under the Seas, right? If you see the Under the Seas, with the Nani, you have to put them under the sea. You have to put them under the deck. But if you don't find your Under the Seas with Nani, you know that you're very, very likely quite close. Here comes Tramp. Is this Davide's game? Where is the Under the Sea? Is there enough to sing it already? 2 Nanis. Ursula Deceiver would be enough on its own. Can Davide find the Under the Sea with this Tramp and then sing together and sweep the board apart from that Miss Park Avenue? Big moments in this game number 2. If Davide gets this Under the Sea through, surely it's going to be their game. It's going to be a huge, huge moment. Have they found it, Jen?
I think it's happening. I think it's happening. There it is. We've got the Under the Sea there. Wow. Absolutely wiping Irvin's board. Of course, apart from that, Miss Park Avenue there. We've seen her a lot in this round, and she's done a lot, and she's hanging in there.
Yeah, she absolutely is. Not only are those Nanis good at adding characters to hand, they're also good at singing Under the Sea. And there is the lady. It's joined now by this Mickey Mouse Amber champion. Davide, he's only at 1 lore, but that's not going to be the case for much longer now. Let's not forget, Irvin is not out of this game just yet. They've now got this lady who is a 5-cost. They've got this Amber champion who is a 4-cost. They can sing Under the Sea. This Amber champion also has the opportunity to sing Under the Sea all on its own in some scenarios, Jen.
Of course, because his second ability, Friendly Chorus, while you have 2 or more other Amber characters in play, this character gains Singer 8, which is, of course, enough to be able to sing Under the Sea.
Yeah, who
himself.
needs to sing together, right? Mickey Mouse can do it all on his own.
Exactly.
What a legend.
He's got a great voice.
What a champion, some might say.
Ha-ha!
Here comes that lady, Miss Park Avenue, yet again.
We love to see her. We've seen her lots, and she's just gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's going to be Tramp, one of the cards added back to hand, and Davide deliberating on what will the other be, and Ursula Deceiver, not an option. That could have been a nice one to be adding back at this point, but I don't think there's any in there.
A Daisy, but I think maybe deciding not to play. Yes, we are playing the Daisy.
This is just being added to hand for now.
Yes, we are grabbing the Daisy. My bad, but we haven't really seen a Daisy this whole round, I don't think, which is quite surprising for 2 Amber decks, because Daisy is one of those Amber staples.
And Davide at this point knows that the Under the Sea might be coming soon, but just quests regardless. Admittedly, those Nanis with 3 strength, there's 3 of them. The lady as well with 4th strength. The Under the Sea would still leave a lot to be desired. Davide is 9 lore away. What can Irvin do about this board?
I don't know.
Davide could be 1 turn away from booking their place in that grand final in a matchup against Zan Syed. It's going to be an all-dogs final, no matter what happens here.
Adela's Moon Lullaby, targeting the lady there to minus the strength. And there's the fist bump. Wow, that is it. And wow, what a play, what a game from those 2 fearsome players. But Davide takes it. I was moving too much. I was getting too excited, Joe. Wow, what a game.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It really does just change in 1 moment. Those Amber Emerald mirrors I wouldn't want to play it myself. That is absolutely terrifying that it can all change at just a moment's notice. And, well, there's going to be more of that action. If you enjoyed that Under the Sea, let me tell you, there's going to be a lot more Under the Sea action in our grand finals. These players are going to be looking to book their place at the Disney Lorcana World Championships. They are fighting for it all to become the champion of Ghent. Jen, it's been an absolute pleasure to cast with you. What has been your highlight of the weekend at your very first Disney Lorcana Challenge as a caster?
Oh my gosh, I have to choose one?
Okay, you can choose a few, but...
I mean, the entire thing has been one huge highlight for me. I feel so incredibly honored to have been able to be on this team with you and everyone else, like our whole crew. It's just been such an incredible and magical experience. I've met so many wonderful Illumineers this weekend, and I'm just so... my heart is full. My heart is really, really full. And I must say, I definitely think one of my highlights for today was earlier, if anyone was seeing the game that me and Kim were casting before, where we had a couple of technical hitches, and I absolutely broke her with my face.
Fantastic.
If you saw that, you know what that means. And yeah.
Here's Kim.
Here she is. But yes, it's been absolutely wonderful. But I think we will very shortly be going over to our final match.
We're just getting everything set up. There's a lot of moving parts here, of course, getting towards the end of the tournament. But Jen, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. I'm sure that everybody in the chat can agree. What a fantastic debut from yourself. Let's take this opportunity just before, while the players are getting ready and everything's getting set up, to give a big thank you to everybody involved in making this tournament happen. I want to give a special shout out to the Lore Guides, but we are ready to head on over to an interview.
I think it's already on.
Hello, Illumineers. We are here. Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent is about to wrap up with our very first grand finals. But first, we had to sit down and give a huge congratulations to Davide and Zan, who have won their respective brackets. Congratulations to both of you. How are you feeling right now, Zan? I'll start with you.
I'm feeling incomplete.
Incomplete. I can understand that. How about you, Davide?
I feel a bit exhausted, but I want to go all the way.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
And I want to know from you, how do you feel about that Amber Emerald mirror match? You did it once.
Yeah.
You may have done it a few times this weekend. How do you feel going into this final dog mirror?
I feel pretty comfortable. I know how to mulligan and get me in the best position to have the best of luck, because you need a little bit of luck in the mirror, in the dog's mirror. Yeah.
Yes, you do. Zan, how about you? How are you feeling about the mirror? Do you feel it was the right deck to bring this weekend?
Yes. I mean, it was the right deck to bring for two different tournaments.
Yes, it really was. Before we let you go and get ready, I do want to give you both a chance to give any thank yous, any shout outs to your communities, your friends, people you've been play testing with. Zan, I'll start with you.
I already shouted out my wife for letting me come, of course. And then, thank you to my parents for always being so supportive, even when my decisions about playing card games didn't make sense. And then lastly, thank you to Rare Hunters, my Austrian family. I could not afford to do this without them.
Well, we're glad you're here. What about you, David? Anyone you want to say thank you to?
Yeah. I want to also thank you, my fiancé, that accompanied me here, and always supported by her, and that's very, very, very good for me. And all my friends that give me the opportunity to test with them, and all Palermo friends that are watching right now, I will give you.
Oh, we can hear him out there. Both of you, I know, have some incredible supporters out there.
All right, Rebecca. This has been absolutely lovely and everything. Very heroic. but I'm looking for a little bit more villainy. So Zan, please stand up for me. Stand right here. Davide, also stand
Yeah,
up.
of course.
Stand to the left of me. I'd like you to face each other down. This is a big fight feel. I'll take that off of you. There we go. Rebecca will take a step forward. We want a big fight feel right here. On my left-hand side, we have Davide! And on my right side, a previous DLC champion, we have Zan Zaid! Gentlemen, please shake hands. I wish you the best of luck. The great Illuminary awaits you both. Please go and take your seats. Head off right over there. I wish you the very best of luck. But we want to see some best of 5 action and find out who is securing that ticket to the World Championship, Rebecca. I am so excited.
Hyped. You're so hyped.
I'm so buzzing,
the
mate.
crowd, I know that you might not hear on the stream, but the crowd is hyped. It's late, but we're ready for a best of 5. I'm ready to see some dog decks. Hey, Baker, guess what?
Yeah, what?
Guess what?
What?
I picked the Amber Emerald Dogs deck to win this weekend.
You certainly did.
And I was right.
And I can
I was
hear
right.
Ross. I can hear Ross
Yes,
chuckling somewhere as
I
well.
knew it.
Clearly, also very pleased. Yes, congratulations,
Thank
Rebecca.
you.
I'll
Thank
take it in my
you.
stride. But yeah, an incredible weekend of Lorcana. But it is not over yet. It is all built up to this final, grand final, best of 5. The winner of 2 concurrent tournaments, and we're gonna find out who is the top Illuminator in the building. Are you ready, Rebecca?
I'm ready, but not quite yet.
Not just quite yet.
I also want to know who won our caster draft.
Oh, that is very, very
Okay.
good point. All right, we're going to
can't-
have to see it.
We can't leave you all hanging. So we do have, hey, okay, Team Kim, 230 points, besting you, Baker. Kim has bested you good. 213. You were close. You did all right. And I'm at 200. Great job to the rest of the casters as well. But congratulations. Let's give it up to Kim and her fantasy team.
Yes.
So you're still in there. Okay, listen. Okay.
Spessy can get 6 more points, so we can go up to 201 is the cap for Spessy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Listen,
so yeah.
if you have the champion on your fantasy roster, though,
Hey, I picked Carsten and I got no more
I think
points
that
for
should
DLC
count
Bologna.
for something. That should count for something, I
It
think.
can count
you know?
for a well done you, a nice stiff pat on the back. But yes, well done, Kim, beating me once again. You just have to rub it in my face. But no, fair play to her. She picked an incredible team, 230 points. But we have to give Joe Curley his due. He is the man with someone on his team still in the
Yes.
game. Illumineers, I think the time has come.
Time has come.
The time is now.
We've had 4,000 players this week in Baker, the biggest Disney Lorcana tournament to date. 4,000 players, 2 tournaments, 2 finals, all leading to 1 grand finals.
And now the time has come, Illumineers. Don't go anywhere. We have the grand finals coming up right now. Let's send it over the desk.
Thank you very much, Baker, but don't think you've got a monopoly on excitement. I'm very excited. I'm Ross, and I'm joined by Kim. Kim, are you very excited?
I'm so excited, but not clearly as excited as Baker, who really needs to take a breath because he was starting to look a little bit of red in the face, a little bit out of breath. But I'm excited. We are about to bring you a best of 5 finals to find out which of our Illumineers is going to be going home with an invite to the World Championship.
Wait, what's the time limit on this final?
There's no time limit, Ross.
There's no time limit. Best of 5, untimed finals. We have got 2 dog decks, and we were deciding which of those dog decks is the best dog deck to get into the World Championships. Both of our players have essentially won a 2,000-player Disney Lorcana Challenge. That is the size of Milwaukee or Richmond or Bologna, but they're not done yet. They don't have that World's invite. We only have one of them to give out, and we are only giving it to the player who wins this untimed best of 5 that we have got coming up here. What do you say we have a quick look at the deck list before we start here?
I think we definitely should. Zan Saeed, winner of our Friday main event, and our other player, the winner of our Saturday main event, having a little look at his deck list. Only playing one Ursula Deceiver, it seems, but and a new card not commonly played in a lot of Amber Emerald decks, but being added in quite recently is that Finnick Tiny Terror. With the ability, when you play him, you can pay an extra 2 ink, I believe, to be able to reduce some lore, teaming up with being able to play it and synergizing really well with the likes of the Under the Sea.
Absolutely, that Finnick Tiny Terror, not one we're used to. A lot of the rest is stuff we're used to seeing. We got the 2 different Tramp, we got the 3 different Lady, we got Mowgli Man Club, Nani Stage Manager, Rhino 1/16th Wolf, and of course those 4 Under the Sea, which can be so huge in this mirror match because it will often take your opponent's entire board and put it under their deck. But I know what you're all thinking. How does that compare to David Restevo's deck? Well, we can show you that one as well. Anything jump out as different here?
Yeah, one thing straight away. Zan may be only playing 1 Ursula Deceiver, but David is playing 4 Ursula Deceivers. Can definitely be utilized alongside those Mowglis. Having a quick glance, I don't believe he's playing any Mowglis.
No Mowgli, and that's the thing. What you're looking for here is you're trying to get rid of that Under the Sea that can be so absolutely huge. And here's the thing, Mowgli, it is your choice. It is any non-character card. So if you've got more than one, you can protect your Under the Sea. Whereas with Ursula Deceiver, there is no protection to be found. The 2 Mickey Mouse Amber champions stand out a little bit there. No Finnick Tiny Terror to be found. So there are a few differences in the deck list here. Yes, both these players are playing Amber Emerald Dogs, but they are not the same list for both players.
No, but important to note, both players are playing that Mickey Mouse Amber champion. And in the mirror, something I faced myself quite a little bit in testing and in practicing, Ross. Normally, it's a matter of who can get down their Tramp first, who can sing Under the Sea first, and something that is going to help our Lumineers sing Under the Sea as fast as they can is our Mickey Mouse Amber champion, but also helping all of our glimmers that are amber stay on the board a little bit longer, giving them extra willpower. But the question is, who's going to come out on top? It's looking like you and Rebecca with your deck predictions is coming out on top, but I am looking like I'm coming out on top of the fantasy draft team. Had to sneak that in there, but I'm getting a sneaky suspicion we're almost ready to start our grand finals.
Yeah, we got 2 players, 2 dog decks, 5 games maximum. First player to 3 games won will be our Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent champion. Will get that invite to the Disney Lorcana World Championships. Unfortunately, we only have 1 invite to give. There's an argument both players have earned it.
Yeah, absolutely, Ross. And I was talking previously to both of our players before we sat down to get into this match, and they both said something very along the lines of some similar winners in the past. Job's not done, and job is not done yet.
It is not, but look what they've gone and put on the table. Tantalizingly close to both of our players. It is that Disney Lorcana Challenge Champion Trophy. Oh, so one of these players is going to be close enough to touch it, but the game is going to end and they're going to be told, no, that's not for you. You didn't win this untimed best of 5.
Yeah, and not only have our players battled through 8 rounds of Swiss, today they also battled their way through 4 more rounds of Swiss, best of 3, into a top 32 single elimination, all the way until we had a finalists from day 1 being Zan Saeed from Friday, and day 2 being David Restevo.
I'm going to go
really
David Restevo. I apologize.
Restevo, I apologize. I am so very sorry. But they're both here, and we are ready to find out who is going to be the grand champion of Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Ghent.
Well, we are in the altering hand phase at the moment. That means both players can look at their opening hand of cards and they can keep whatever they want, and any they don't like they can put back for a random card from their deck. And generally speaking, if your hand looks good, you don't mulligan very much, you don't alter your hand very much. But if your hand looks bad, you can go for a full hand refresh if you like. Now, it does seem like the Ultra in the hand phase is getting towards its conclusion. There is a fist bump, and we are getting ready to go here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent Grand Finals. David Restivo against Zan Saeed with a spot at the Disney Lorcana World Championships up for grabs. And it looks like we're going to be starting off with Zan, who is deciding what is going to be inked. It is that Lilo Escape Artist. Looks like it's going down in the ink. Do we have a turn one play to accompany it?
Yeah, more than likely we do, Ross, with a lot of these decks playing one cost, and that is our one cost lady, Elegant Spaniel, coming into the game for Zan.
And we do see then over to David, both players on 42 points. Nothing to choose between them in terms of record. We get that Rhino 1/16th Wolf is going to go down into the inkwell. That is going to be ink that can be used for a turn one play. And it is your favorite spray cheese kid, Bommy Zamaruski. Or
maybe
is
it's
it?
not.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is.
Maybe it is. My favorite spray cheese kid, David, really wanting to start building that Leaning Tower of Cheese. Going to be able to draw a card. And does he have perhaps a Lilo Escape Artist to discard? Or what is it David is going to discard?
Well, he did have no, he didn't. His opponent, Zan, had a Lilo. That's what got inked. He inked the Rhino. We can still see it there. That's the goal, is really discard that Lilo that can be played from the discard so easily and so often. But instead, we have a bunch of other options here. But not a deck that really gets stuff back from the discard here. So whatever goes down, well, unless it's a two-cost character and you can get it back with Lady Miss Park Avenue, and it is that Grandmother, that Grandmother Willow, Ancient Advisor.
Yeah, very interesting here. David didn't choose to keep the Grandmother Willow unless, of course, he has another one to be able to play next turn and allow him to be able to play a one-drop for free. But looking like Zan is going to be inking that Mickey Mouse Amber Champion and going to be playing a Lady Decisive Dog and a Rhino 1/16th Wolf.
Starting to build up that board quite nicely. 3 glimmers there. Passes the turn over to David here, who has just top-decked that Della Moon's Lullaby, which does seem like that is going to be the choice to ink straight away. We're using both of the ink here, and it is a Grandmother Willow Ancient Advisor. And that means that there was a spare, and that means you can play a one-cost character for free, and it's going to be that Lady Decisive Dog.
Yeah, David not too far behind here, even though going second next turn. If we do have that Tramp Enterprising Dog, a turn 3 Tramp for an Amber Emerald deck is pretty good, Ross, wouldn't you say?
I absolutely would say, and David might have been going second, but the fact that you've got the Grandmother Willow on turn 2, that is going to help redress the balance really quite nicely here. He could have that turn 3 Tramp, and I'm not sure that Zan is going to be able to pull off the same feat here.
No, unfortunately, Zan would have needed another Glimmer on the board or a Grandmother Willow of his own to be able to turn 3 Tramp here. Instead, we may be able to see perhaps a Nani Stage Manager. We can ink a card here, get 3 ink, use 3 ink to play a Nani, maybe look for a card we're missing. Maybe it's the Grandmother Willow of his own. Or maybe we're just going to play 2 more Glimmers to the board to be able to, next turn, play our own Tramp Enterprising Dog.
And that is always something you want to be looking for. That Tramp Enterprising Dog, well, he's a little one, he's quite nice, but a Tramp Street Smart Dog, that's a good boy.
Even better.
Exactly. Comes in, reduced cost by 1 for every Glimmer you've got on the board, and also lets you draw a number of cards equal to the characters you've got in play, and then discard that many. It lets you fix your hand to get exactly what you're looking for. Big decision here for Zan. We see 1 ink being exerted. What's it being exerted for? It's, well, I've said it. I'm going to say it again. There we go. Your favorite spray cheese kid, Bommy Zamaruski.
Yeah, meaning Zan is going to be able to draw a card and discard a card, and getting a Lilo Escape Artist into the discard is exactly what an Amber Emerald player wants to see.
It absolutely is. And that, Zan did get that, but he didn't get the turn 2 Grandmother Willow. Now, does David have the Tramp Street Smart Dog? That is going to be the big question here. If you do, you can ink, and then it becomes a 4 cost, but it becomes a 3 cost with that Grandmother Willow, and it is exactly that. You draw 3 cards, you then get to discard 3 cards from your hand. You are not gaining any cards, but you are fixing your hand nicely. David went second, But oh, it kind of makes up for it when you get your turn free trap now, doesn't it, Kim?
It definitely does, and David most likely looking for that under the sea, because in the mirror, that's kind of the card you're looking for right now. If David is able to find it and keep it in his hand, Zan's entire board right now is within range of being under the sea, which basically sends, if you're new to Lorcana and don't know what under the sea does, it sends each of the opposing glimmers that it costs that has strength 2 or less, basically under the sea, but in this way, under the deck.
It is worth noting David plays 3 copies of Under the Sea to Zan's 4. That is going to make it a slightly more difficult to actually find, so that early trap might be the difference. But watch out for that. Under the Sea so big in the mirror, cutting that 4th copy could be a problem. Here comes Mowgli. You know Zan is fishing for that Under the Sea, and David goes, mate, I wish I had Under the Sea.
Yeah.
You know what he does have, though?
Another Tramp Street Smart Dog.
Yeah, which means he's going to be able to see at least 5 extra cards, 1 drawn for turn, 4 from the Tramp next turn to try and get it. So actually missing it with the Tramp this turn was actually the best way around. You're closer to finding it, but it can't be gotten rid of with Mowgli.
Yeah, and not only does David have that Tramp Street Smart Dog in his hand, there's also a Lady Miss Park Avenue. So Zan just taking a quick little look at what is in the discard, knowing, well, David is also going to have the option of shifting this Lady Miss Park Avenue on top of our Lady Decisive Dog and bringing back some of our character cards from our discard.
Well, we do see Zan here, and I think he's worried about Under the Sea. He inks the Street Smart Dog to play the Enterprising Dog, the lower cost Tramp, because actually, that Street Smart Dog is still a 2-strength character. Under the Sea would target it. I think Zan is really worried, because remember, he knows that there is a Tramp in hand for David. He knows there's going to be the draw for the turn, potentially playing a 1-cost character, and then drawing at least 4 cards with Tramp to search for Under the Sea. He does, however, know that David only plays 3 copies.
Yeah, it is open deck list. With both of these players knowing these decks inside out, I'm sure it's not the first time they've faced a mirror, but if David really wants to, we can play another Tramp Street Smart Dog. We are only going to pay 2 ink for it, meaning if we do find an Under the Sea, we still will be able to sing it with our other 7-cost Tramp and a 1-cost maybe Bobby or a Lady that is still on the board to be able to completely wipe out Zan's board under the deck.
I feel like thematically it needs to be Lady and Tramp joining in to sing Under the Sea. You know, Bobby Zamirsky and Tramp, they're not much of a duo, but Lady and the Tramp just rolls off your tongue there.
It does, but maybe the Spray Cheese Kid really wants to start, you know, drumming, making some jams with Sebastian. Why not?
He just wants to get joining in, and I don't blame him, frankly. Now here comes Ursula. Oh, and it is an Under the Sea that David is hit with Ursula. Zan goes, yes, fine, you got me. Zan missed it with the Mowgli. David hit it with the Ursula Deceiver here. Zan was desperately hoping he was going to get that next turn. I got bad news for you.
Yeah, not going to be able to sing that next turn. And Zan had enough glimmers on his board to be able to sing together that Under the Sea, which would have been brilliant for him. But unfortunately, that Ursula Deceiver, which we did get to see what was in the hand, but it was kind of too late because we needed to establish that Mowgli on board to be able to discard the Under the Sea if it was there. But now David going to be able to play that Ursula Deceiver and the Daisy Duck, and also a Tramp Street Smart Dog as well, hopefully looking to get our own Under the Sea and really take the lead in this game.
He's just drawn 6 cards with Tramp. He drew 1 for the turn, 6 with Tramp. He drew, I believe it was 3 with Tramp last turn. So he's been digging through his deck quite nicely. Zan looks at the discard and goes, well, he hasn't discarded an Under the Sea. That doesn't tell me very much. We are... Oh, no, we're questing with Tramp. So Zan, a sigh of relief there. There is no Under the Sea. You know if it was there, it would be played. So it cannot be there. I didn't think I saw it in the hand.
No, it's not in the hand, but perhaps another thing it could be is that pesky Emerald Chromacon. And this is where Zan really wants to have another Mowgli man cub, but to be able to deal with this Emerald Chromacon, because if it comes out onto the board, there's not much Zan is going to be able to do to get rid of it.
We've gone wide on the board so far. Very, very little questing here. We've just got a lot of glimmers out, a lot of characters down. And then the question is, what do we have? Zan actually passes straight back over to David, choosing not to do any questing here.
Did we draw an uninkable card? Maybe it's a lady, Miss Park Avenue. Are we only on 2 ink? We can't even shift it.
It's another tramp, Kim, and that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Surely you've got to hit it now. You had a tramp for... Yes, we saw it. It is in the hands. And
meaning we are going to be able to sing it now because we have 2 other tramps on the board. Will we see the lady and the tramp sing together and Under the Sea?
It is Daisy, and Zan knew that was coming. It is it is Tramp and Daisy Duck. All of those characters under the deck. And that is gonna, no, is that game 1? It looks like Zan has conceded, and David Restivo is gonna take a 1-0 lead. Under the Sea is all that was needed.
Yeah, we did. It didn't seem like we got very far in lore there before, and it seems like another game that we got to cast earlier where we only got up to 4 lore. I believe we only got 2 lore on the board there.
I think it might have been a 2-0 victory, but I don't mean in games. I mean in lore in that one game from David. But do remember, we're not playing a best of 3 like we have been all weekend here. We are all the way up to a best of 5. And while we've got a second, I'm hearing cheering. It is local time. It's 10:30 in the evening. Shout out to everyone still in the hall watching this. I love that you are choosing to spend your evening in the hall with us. You guys are awesome.
We have an immaculate viewing area out there, and I did get to watch a bit of the last game out there with them, and the vibes are outstanding. It's been a long 3 days in this hall in Flanders Expo in the Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent, and I'm so excited because not only do we get to bring you a best of 3, we get to bring you a best of 5. And Dan was on the play last time, I believe. Will still be on the play this time. But like I said earlier, both these players know these decks inside out. And oftentimes in a Dog's Mirror and an Amber Emerald Mirror, it's normally the person who gets the Under the Sea first. And unfortunately for Zan, David was just able to get advantage there and get his tramp out first to be able to find his Under the Sea. Unfortunately, it wasn't the first tramp, it wasn't the second tramp, but it actually took 3 tramps.
And by the 3rd tramp, he's drawing 8 cards, which is absolutely absurd. I believe it was 4 with the first tramp, 6 with the second, 8 with the 3rd, which is 18 cards in total, not counting your draw for the turn, but eventually did get down to get one. But Under the Sea, you're absolutely right, Kim, but the big decider in that game was that turn 2 Grandmother Willow from David. That was absolutely crucial. That led to the turn 3 tramp, which led to the tramp train, which it took 3 of them, but eventually we got to that Under the Sea. And even if Zan had Under the Sea, he would have had to top deck it because David actually did have that Ursula Deceiver at the perfect time. Right before it could have been sung, Ursula came down to stop it.
Yeah, definitely would have made a world of difference to Zan in the first game had David not have that Ursula Deceiver exactly when they needed it, because Zan would have been able to sing together the Under the Sea first and started gaining momentum, more board control, be able to quest up. And will we see anything differently happen here in game 2?
Well, I am spying a Grandmother Willow in David's hand, so it does feel a lot like that's probably something you'd keep in the altering hand phase.
Yeah, normally if you get it, ideally you want to keep it. If you get more than 2, well, the options there are pretty much endless. You'll be able to play 1 for 1 then the following turn if you really wish, meaning you'll play 2 next turn for the following Glimmer you want to play to the board.
That can absolutely snowball into something quite lovely. Now, it is worth noting that the player going first is supposed to be altering their hand first. So right now, it is Zan Saeed's turn to alter his hand. Choose how many of that opening hand go back into the deck to be replaced and how many get kept. When he's finished, it will be David Restivo's turn to actually go ahead and do his. And at this high level, you absolutely should let your opponent finish before you start take that information.
Yeah, and ideally the perfect opener for an Amber Emerald deck in the mirror to be able to keep your Tramp Street Smart Dog in the opening hand, get your 1-drop to the board, get your Grandmother Willow onto the board, and I do believe Zan was able to draw into the Grandmother Willow there, meaning we could quite possibly see a turn 3 Tramp this time from Zan Saeed.
And it's important to note, he actually altered his hand by 6. He only kept 1 card from his opening hand, and the 6th card he drew was the Grandmother Willow. Now, obviously, if he'd taken 5, he would have top-decked it turn 1. But the point is, going that aggressive on the altering hand phase is what allowed him to then get towards that Grandmother Willow, because it made such a difference for David. And here's what's brilliant for David here. After you win game 1, essentially, if you just go back and forth, you're on the play in game 5.
Yes, essentially you are, even though Zan started off game 1 on the play. Didn't start out the greatest for him, but can he take it back to get himself a win? Will we see it go all the way to game 5? But Zan here going first.
Well, we've had the fist bump, so we will be rolling here. Game 2, Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent Grand Final. And Zan is going to be inking that Rhino 116th Wolf for your favorite spray cheese kid, Bobby Zimmerowski.
Yeah, this time round, Zan's going to start building that Leaning Tower of Cheesa. And I do believe I also see the Grandmother Willow in David's hand as well.
Yes, he had it in his opening hand, pre-altering. You got to imagine he's going to keep it. And actually, Zan discarding a Grandmother Willow off of the Bobby Zimmerowski draw, so you know he's got one in hand. There's no way you discard your only one.
No, you've got to be thinking, if they're discarding this, they definitely have to be having another. And being an uninkable card, you kind of want to, yeah, okay, we're going to get rid of this. It's going to stay in the way. It's going to be annoying. But David now, what is he going to ink? Is it going to be a Nani Stage Manager, seeming like there's 2 in hand? But no, it's going to be none other than Lilo, Escape Artist, going into the Inkwell, and a Lady Elegant Spaniel coming onto the board for David.
The one that gets 1 extra lore when they quest if you got a Tramp in play. It is Grandmother Willow coming down as that turn 2 play, and it's very crucial to get a 1-drop card immediately after. It is a second Bobby Zimmerowski, but importantly, there's now 3 characters down, one of which is a Grandmother Willow, which means Tramp next turn will be a free cost, and you will have free ink to play it. That is, of course, if you've got the Tramp. We talk about having the Grandmother Willow, but you better have the Tramp in hand as well.
Yeah, you kind of need to have all the key pieces here in order to be able to play all the parts of the jigsaw puzzle. And if Zan is able to have the Tramp in hand and we can just play it next turn, can he find that Under the Sea to be able to sing the following turn and gain the board control before David can get his own Tramp on the board and find Under the Sea himself?
Well, it is a Grandmother Willow coming down for David, but no 1-drop following it, which means you don't get the Tramp next turn. It's not just about having the Grandmother Willow, it's also about having the 1-drop. Then it's about having the Tramp the following turn. Then it's about having the Under the Sea the following turn. And you do need, and I call these pinch points, you have to have a combo at every turn or it will fall apart. David had it in game 1, does not have it in game 2. Free ink are being exerted, and it is that Tramp Street Smart Dog. And now we are desperately searching for Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Or are we? Because if you draw it now, maybe Ursula can grab it.
Yeah, maybe Ursula can grab it, or maybe you take the risk and keeping another Tramp Street Smart Dog. We saw it happen in the previous game to Zan's opponent. Will we see a little bit of deja vu, and will Zan try to do it back to David and get about 3 Tramps back on the board and then sing Under the Sea?
That would be the dream. I mean, ideally you get it nice and early, but if I'm David here, it is nice and simple. I have got to play an Ursula Deceiver this turn. No, it's not your general curve, doesn't matter. You need to play Ursula Deceiver right now, because if your opponent has Under the Sea, anything else you play is going to go terribly wrong. Bobby Zimmerowski will be questing here just for 1 lore. I think all the 1 lore, yeah. No, 2 lore, because there's 2 of them. And then we're back over to David. Do you have the Ursula Deceiver?
I don't see an Ursula Deceiver, but I do see that Emerald Chromacon in hand. But first, we will be able to play another Grandmother Willow, this time only paying 1 ink for it. And we will be able to only pay 2 then, thanks to our second Grandmother Willow, for our Nani Stage Manager being able to look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put a 1 or 2 cost card from those 4 cards into your hand. And well, of course, you do have to reveal it to your opponent, so Zan knows what card is going into his hand, and that is going to be none other than the 2-cost Tramp.
Yeah, the enterprising dog. Now, if I'm David here, I'm tempted to keep Emerald Chromacon in my hand, so that way, if a Mowgli gets played, you can choose to discard that and protect your Under the Sea. Zan doesn't get a choice. Zan's playing Mowgli, David is playing Ursula. Ursula can guarantee getting Under the Sea. Mowgli cannot. We play the Lady Elegant Spaniel. We are seeing a Tramp and one other card get exerted. It is Under the Sea from Zan Saeed, and Nani Stage Manager will stay, but both the Grandmother Willow will be gone. The Lady Elegant Spaniel will be gone under the deck, and that means that Zan is taking a big lead here in game 2.
Yeah, looking like we did manage to find that Under the Sea off our Tramp enterprising dog. Zan here currently taking the lead now in board state, going to be able to freely quest, well, not freely quest. This Nani Stage Manager does pose a little bit of a threat, can deal easily with one of our Bobby Zimmerowskis by challenging into it. But does David really want to do that? Because then we can just challenge right back with our Tramp Street Smart Dog and easily deal with this Nani Stage Manager left on our board.
Right now, the deal with David is rebuild your board. Nani Stage Manager is going to help. You've basically got a turn or 2 to rebuild your board before things get out of control. If you can rebuild your board and hit Zan with your own Under the Sea, you can still get there. Did we whiff off Nani?
Yeah, it's looking like we drew into a Tramp Street Smart Dog, a Lady Miss Park Avenue. I believe the other card may have been an Under the Sea. I'm not quite sure, but the other card was Mickey Mouse Amber Champion. Not looking like David had a 1-drop at all there in the hand. Was hoping to find one off Nani Stage Manager. We did ink a card. We could have possibly played one, but unfortunately, not going to help David here. And it is a Mowgli Man Club coming in, exactly what Zan wants to see against that pesky Emerald Chromacon, because if it came onto the board then next turn, there was no item removal in Zan's deck he was going to be able to use to get rid of it, and we're going to be able to full quest with all of the other glimmers on the board. Zan really starting to take the lead in this game.
Well, that is questing for 6, going from 3 up to 9 for Zan Saeed. Was defeated in game 1, but all the way up to 10, it seems, and is coming back in game 2. And this is going to be out of hand pretty quickly. These dog mirror matches do not always go terribly long, but it does not look right now like we're going to have a sweep. Or does it, David? What have you got in these last couple of turns before it's out of control?
Yeah, it doesn't always get out of control very much, but when it does, this is kind of what happens. And right now, does Zan Saeed have game on board, or is there anything David can do against it? These two Nanis can easily challenge and deal with some of these glimmers on Zan's board, but David not having a 1-drop to be able to do more, it's looking like perhaps it's going to be Zan's game, but David taking a quick little look at the discard to see what cards have kind of gone through. We know there's a one Under the Sea already gone through. Under the Sea is not going to do anything against these Nani Stage Managers, and David can easily challenge in here to deal with some of Zan's glimmers on his board. But are we going to play anything? Yes, it's going to be the 3rd Nani Stage Manager coming on. We're going to have a look at the top 4 cards, and is it going to be a 1 or 2 cost Glimmer to be able to be put into our hand?
There were a couple of options. There was an Ursula Deceiver, but it's a little bit too late for that. So we go and get a Lilo Escape Artist into hand off of that Nani Stage Manager. Bobby Zimmerowski comes down. This is not enough right now. 3 Nani Stage Manager and a Bobby Zimmerowski. You're not putting any pressure on your opponent's board. You actually do have enough to sing Under the Sea next turn, weirdly. If Zan plays absolutely no board control, you could go Under the Sea if you keep all 3 of your Nani.
Yeah, and there's not quite yet enough lore on the board for Zan. He will be able to freely quest here up to a total of 18, I believe. If we can just establish another 2 quests here on the board, could it be a Lady Miss Park Avenue or even another tramp? Next turn, Zan will be able to have game unless David has an Under the Sea of his own. Or maybe Zan has another Ursula Deceiver or even a Mowgli Man Cub to be able to be played to get rid of any possibility of an Under the Sea coming out from David, because this would really help him get back in the game here.
Well, right now we are questing 8 from 10 up to 18. And if you're Zan, you can play something to quest for 2, but has more than 2 strength, something like a Lady Miss Park Avenue. Absolutely. Or like you say, play a Mowgli Man Cub to try and hit the Under the Sea if it is in David's hand, because he does have enough on the board here. There is still a chance that Under the Sea from David could lead to a big comeback, but it has to be right now. I don't see any other way this is going to end other than David going Under the Sea or conceding this turn. We are paying 2 ink initially, and we are getting that Lilo back. That is not going to do anything this turn.
No, but perhaps David already has that Under the Sea in hand, and thanks to our Nani stage managers on the board that cost 3, between all 3 of them can easily sing together and Under the Sea if David has them in hand. Or maybe we're going to do some challenging if we don't have it, but we will have to deal with an awful lot of glimmers on Dan's side of the board first.
You have to get rid of both of the Tramp and 3 of the Mowgli / Bobby Zamaruski. You can only leave 1 of either Mowgli or Bobby Zamaruski on the board. That is all the option you've got. Here comes a Tramp. You are going to be drawing 5 cards. You need to hit an Under the Sea here so you can sing it with your free 9. You don't hit it, and that is the game. Zan Saeed is going to even this up 1 game apiece in our best of 5 final.
Yeah, playing that Tramp Street Smart Dog for one final shot at being able to find the Under the Sea. Unfortunately, that game going Zan's side in this dog versus dog match. It seems to be who can get their Tramp down first and sing Under the Sea first, like I said earlier. And this time, for the first time, Zan is going to be going into game 3 on the draw. But no need to fear, guys. It's best of 5. So we've at least got another 2 rounds to go.
Absolute minimum. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and that is very literal here in the final of DLC Ghent. Here's what's worrying me. The 3 copies of Under the Sea for David. He took a lot of effort in Game 1 to go and find it with those free Tramp. Didn't find it in Game 2. And it seems at this point like we're pretty clear what we need to do. You need any 1-drop on turn 1. You need a Grandmother Willow and a 1-drop on turn 2. You need your Tramp on turn 3 and your Under the Sea on turn 4. So what you need to do is you need to have 4 copies of Tramp Street Smart Dog, 4 copies of Grandmother Willow Ancient Advisor, you need a whole heap of 1-drops, and you need 4 copies of Under the Sea. Cutting from 4 down to 3, and I did speak to David briefly before this match, and he told me he's played against a bunch of mirror matches for dogs this weekend, and he has been, his loss and tie were not to dogs. He's beaten all the dogs he's played this weekend, but I would, if I was him right now, I would be wishing I had a 4th copy of Under the Sea.
Well, I can also imagine so, but I do think maybe Zan is playing those 4 Under the Sea, I believe,
he is.
And he's probably feeling a lot better knowing that his opponent is only on 3 Under the Seas.
And that's something you need to be looking out for here is Mowgli and Ursula. Because if you put them side by side and you think, well, the main goal of these in this matchup is get rid of my opponents Under the Sea, Ursula is just better than Mowgli. Ursula, if they've got Under the Sea, you get rid of it. Mowgli, you make your opponent make the choice to any of their non-character cards. And a lot of the time, it's just going to be Under the Sea, but you can catch your opponent, if David's got, say, an Emerald Chromacon and an Under the Sea, they can drop the Chromacon to keep the Under the Sea. That is a big difference between those 2 cards. So I love that David's got the Ursula rather than the Mowgli, but I really don't like the fact that they're only playing 3 copies of Under the Sea rather than 4.
Yeah, but there's some times when players really want to have both the Mowgli and the Ursula. For example, we saw last game, Ross, Zan was able to play the Mowgli Man Cub and discard that Emerald Chromacon out of David's hand. That really helped him keep in control of that game, because something else might have changed had we seen the Emerald Chromacon come into the board for David, because then we might have seen our nannies challenge that turn. Zan might have challenged back, and then David would have had the opportunity to bounce any of the glimmers on the board back to their player's hand.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point. Very well made there, Kim, and I agree with you entirely. Sometimes Mowgli absolutely can be the better option between the two. So we're in the altering hand phase now. Both players, I mean, I'm pretty sure they knew the mirror match for dogs coming in, but now they've had 2 games. They're getting to know their opponent's list a lot more intimately. They're having some practice playing this, and now they can really start to put together that game plan, and they can know exactly what they want their opening hand to be. And we know here Zan will be going second on the draw, and it is going to be David going first on the play because he was defeated in game 2.
Yeah, and we didn't see Zan on the draw yet. We've seen David on the draw twice, was able to take that victory game 1 against Zan, and this time we'll be going on the play, and ideally, hopefully, we're going to see the same thing that happened previously. We're going to play our 1-drop into our Grandmother Willow, into another 1-drop, and then hopefully into our Tramp Street Smart Dog.
Wow, we just saw the fist bump. We are rolling here in game 3 of our Disney Lorcana Challenge Grand Final here in Ghent. Delamu's Lullaby gets inked. Daisy Duck Donald's Date, which I think might be the first time we've seen that this early in this matchup. David played it previously just to get more with Tramp. We see Delamu's Lullaby inked for Zan, but it's no Daisy Duck. It's your favorite spray cheese kid.
Yeah, there's not going to be many big prizes, I can imagine, for David if he starts questing so early on with this Daisy Duck's Donald's Date. There's an odd chance we may be able to hit an Under the Sea out of Zan's Saeed's deck. However, more times out of 10, we are going to be able to give Zan an additional card. So the chances are we aren't going to quest with this Daisy Duck yet, but we are going to see that Grandmother Willow come into the board, and not looking like David has a 1-drop to be able to play. So chances are we're not going to see a Tramp Street Smart Dog come in to play turn 3.
Unfortunately not. Good news is, however, for David, that Zan has whiffed the turn 2 Grandmother Willow. Ancient Advisor has gone for a second Bobby Zimmerowski, so neither player having that perfect curve hit in game 3. David got the Grandmother Willow, but whiffed the 1-drop after it. Zan has not even got the Grandmother Willow, so we do have a card we can ink, and then hopefully another 1-drop and just build your board that way instead. Is it as good? No, it's not as good. But we do what we can with what we have.
Yeah, it's not as good as our new addition to this set, Winter Spell, Grandmother Willow. But we're going back to the old reliables, the way Dogs was played before we got the new addition of Grandmother Willow. And I do believe there is definitely a 1-drop still in Zan's hand. But first, we must discard a card off our Bobby Zimmerowski. And that's going to be another Bobby Zimmerowski. And we are going to now see Della's Moon's Lullaby inked per turn, and we are going to play Our Lady Decisive Dog.
So we at least get the free 1-drops in the first 2 turns for Zan Saeed. That is not too bad. David here has got 2 cards on the board. We cannot stretch to get the Tramp Street Smart Dog, but hopefully we can pay a little bit of ink here. We can ink something, and then we can start rolling, and it is that Nani Stage Manager, played as a 2-cost, of course, because of that Grandmother Willow.
Yeah, don't even need to ink anything. Only had to play 2 ink for this Nani Stage Manager, meaning if we manage to draw a 1-drop, which we did, this Daisy Duck Donald's Date, we will be able to ink a card and play our Daisy Duck to the board.
And then next turn, Tramp Street Smart Dog is potentially on the board, but then it means you're 2 turns away from your Under the Sea. Not really where we want to be. Back over to Zan here, draws for the turn. And here, I mean, Grandmother Willow would be great, but do we have maybe a Nani Sage Manager of our own? Where can we go with this?
Yeah, decisions indeed. Maybe we're going to have an Ursula Deceiver or even a Mowgli Man Cub like we were speaking before, just to be able to get a little bit more information about David's hand, because every little helps, every little information helps, but we're about to find out. It does look like 3 ink is going to be exerted. It is going to be Finnick, Little Terror coming in, and we are going to be bouncing that Grandmother Willow back to David's hand.
Yeah, not too shabby. This is one of the unusual cards that Zan Saeed plays that we don't generally see in a lot of decks. But when you play it, you can bounce a 2 strength or lower character back to the hand, and Grandmother Willow absolutely counts there.
Yeah, he's not a tiny terror for Zan, but it might be a tiny terror for David, now having to pay 2 to replay our Grandmother Willow onto the board. Only 3 glimmers on the board, meaning we did have to replay that Grandmother Willow. Unfortunately, not going to see Tramp Street Smart Dog this turn, but we are going to be able to play Go-Go Tamago for 1 ink.
Yeah, Go-Go, Tomago, Darting Dynamo comes down. And look, we got 5 characters down now. That's a pretty decent board. It's making things easier for Tramp. Right now, Zan is not... Wait, no, Zan could get Tramp this turn, which would then put him potentially in the driver's seat for getting that Under the Sea roll in. He's got Lady, he's got Bobby Zemaruski, he's got Finnick, and he's got a second Bobby Zemaruski. So both players here, they're just playing out the glimmers they've got in their hand, but we're not seeing that big combo coming out. First one to do it is going to be there. Now, I'm having a quick look. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, David does have enough to play Under the Sea next turn.
Yes, he does, but the question is, does Zan have a Tramp Street Smart Dog of his own to be able to play now this turn? We do have 4 glimmers on the board, meaning we will only have to pay 3, and we will be able to draw 4 cards. We will have to discard 4 cards, but I think he's trying to do the maths. It's a lot of thinking, decisions. It's difficult to know the correct one to make, but these players know these decks inside out, looking like we are going to be exerting 3 ink for another Finnick, looking like we are going to bounce the Grandmother Willow back to David's hand.
Now, it is worth noting that now takes the potential the Under the Sea off the board. There's only 7 cost worth of characters there, so there's no Under the Sea coming down from David here. So that was a big play from Zan Saeed. Both of those Finnick coming in absolutely huge, and yes, that is a pun on the artwork, and taking those characters off the board, making life just generally easier for him and a lot more difficult for David.
Yeah, but still 2 Daisy Ducks and a Nani along with a Go-Go Tamago on the board for David. Are we going to see a Grandmother Willow replayed? And yes, we are. But does David have another card to perhaps be able to play alongside this? And it is going to be a Daisy Duck Donald's Date being played for free.
Played for free, and I don't think there's 8 cost worth of characters on Zan's board. I believe we're only up to 6 or 7 there. So, yeah, we got 4 1 cost and a 2 cost, I believe. So, I know, I think it's just 5 1 cost, is it not?
Yeah, it is just going to be 5 1 cost on the board for Zan. Not yet quite enough to sing and Under the Sea of his own, but there it is. There is our Tramp Street Smart Dog coming in, and those 5 glimmers on the board for Zan means Zan is going to be able to draw 5 cards and then discard 5 cards, maybe looking for the all-important Under the Sea for next turn.
And that is going to be where Zan is going, because he is in the driver's seat if he can pull this off. However, his board is very much at risk of Under the Sea, and now we do actually have enough on David's side of the board. He would need to have it in hand. He's not... Oh, wait, no, he could play Tramp to search for it, actually. So potentially a Tramp could come down. It would only be a 1-cost Tramp next turn, maybe 0 if you play a 1-cost character beforehand. And then you can start working towards that. So game 1 and 2 were quite straightforward. One player had a big advantage. In game 3, we're kind of, both players like poking at each other yet, but no one's taken the first big swing.
No lore on the board yet, and we are going to be discarding 5 cards from Zan Saeed. And like you said, Ross, if we do see another Tramp Street Smart Dog now, Zan will only have to pay 1 ink for it, but Zan is playing 4 Under the Seas in his deck compared to David's only 3 Under the Seas. So he is more likely to hit an Under the Sea off the first Tramp than we saw David had to go through 3 Tramps the first game before he would manage to get himself an Under the Sea. So we could see Zan perhaps if he did not get the Under the Sea, but it seems like maybe we did. We're not doing anything else. We're not paying another one cost. Maybe we're just waiting. We're holding. We're not going to quest yet. We're waiting for the all-important, perhaps, the Under the Sea next turn.
What I would love to see here is either a tramp. Or, well, yeah, let's just go tramp. Let's just go tramp, right?
Yeah.
It's a 1 cost, and it's going to draw you 6 cards and then discard 6. Do we see Under the Sea? I would also, if we don't see that, Ursula Deceiver is not a great consolation prize, but it is still a consolation prize. What did he just? He just showed the Under the Sea.
The Under the Sea, and we'll be able to take this Under the Sea. We'll have to discard 6 cards in return, but we'll be able to sing it with all of the other glimmers left on his board.
And I think Zan is actually saying, show me Under the Sea, and I'm going to concede this game, and he does. David Restivo takes game 2, 1 game away from being our Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent champion and gaining that access to the World Championships later in the season. We generally don't see players showing cards like that when you search for Tramp, but that was clearly, I played enough card games to know, that was Zan going, mate, show me Under the Sea. If you show me Under the Sea, I'm not going to want to keep playing this game. He showed Under the Sea, Zan conceded, and David is 1 game away.
Yeah, David winning that game, by the way. I don't believe any lure was made on the board at all. It's really going like what I said earlier is definitely true. And both these players, very experienced in these decks, know when you're playing the mirror, first person to play Under the Sea is essentially going to win the game. And this person for this game was going to be David, meaning we've already played 3 games. We're going to a 4th game.
The flowchart looks something like this. Did you play Under the Sea? Yes. Did your opponent refill the board? If no, you win. If yes, do you have a second Under the Sea? If yes, you win. If no, do they have Under the Sea? And it kind of cascades down from there. But it is all, we've seen 3 games here now, Kim. It is all about Under the Sea in this mirror match. That is the goal. If you get, though we did see it on stream yesterday, player got Under the Sea, but managed to rebuild their board, throw an Under the Sea at their opponent and actually fill out the game. We haven't seen it here, but that is an option. If you have got a good enough hand that Under the Sea wrecks your board and then you rebuild it and Under the Sea your opponent, that is the game. But so far, game 1, Under the Sea ended it. Game 2, Under the Sea ended it. Game 3, Under the Sea ended it. That is what we're seeing in these games so far.
Yeah, for sure. And both these players have, after playing through the entire Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent, know these decks inside out. I'm sure they put in a lot of preparation as we go into our Game 4, best of 5, grand final. We are so close to finding which one of these Illumineers, who is going to be our champion of Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent. And Ross, you've got to be feeling happy. It's your pick to take it and win it all. And either way, no matter who wins, your woof has kind of won.
I am right. No matter what happens, I am right. Now, Zan is going to be going first, so he is altering his hand first. David, this has got to be a little bit heartbreaking. I believe he had an Under the Sea in his opening hand, and I believe it has been returned to the deck. And if anyone at home is thinking, why would you do that? Mate, it's an 8-cost uninkable. You really want Under the Sea, but there's 2 reasons you do not want it in your opening hand. Well, 3 reasons. Number 1, you can't play it yet. Number 2, you can't ink it. Number 3, your opponent is playing a card that can get it out of your hand, and you don't want that to happen. So you're looking for Grandmother Willow, you're looking for those 1-drops, you are absolutely not looking for Under the Sea. That is actually a bad card to have in your opening hand.
Yeah, and it's exactly the reason we're seeing turn 1 Bobby Zimmerowski discarding an early Grandmother Willow. When you've got 2 of them in your hand can get a little bit clunky. You don't want to have an awful lot of uninkables in the hand. However, for Zan, it seems like the Under the Sea is in his opening hand.
Well, we are here going with game 4 of Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent. The first time we've had match point. If David wins this, he will be your champion. If Zan wins, we're going to a game 5. We see Lady Elegant Spaniel being played by Zan, and it is your favorite Spray Cheese kid. The turn 1 play with an Inked Lady Decisive dog and an Emerald Chromacon getting discarded here.
Yeah, Zan's got to feel pretty happy about that. I'm not sure how many Emerald Chromacon David is running, but I believe it may only be 2.
I believe it is 2. I'm not 100%, I'll have to have a look in a second, but I believe it is 2 in the deck.
Yeah, I just had a little look at his deck list there, and he is only running 2, so the possibility of an Emerald Chromacon getting on the board now for David is, well, there's only 1 left in the deck, so the chances are very slim.
I don't like his chances, frankly. I do like Grandmother Willow coming down with a second Lady Elegant Spaniel for Zan Saeed. That means he does actually have the perfect curve rolling right now. David gets a Grandmother Willow and he gets a Lady Elegant Spaniel. So now it is a 2-part race. Can you find Tramp? Can you find Under the Sea? Zan, you went first. You are matching your opponent. You have the first opportunity to try and hit that combo.
Do you have your Tramp Street Smart Dog? And why aren't you slapping it down to the table?
Oh, no.
It's not going to be Tramp Street Smart Dog. It's going to be
my
Lady
goodness.
Miss Park Avenue coming in. We can shift it for 3. We don't even need our Tramp Street Smart Dog. We had that Under the Sea in our opening hand. We didn't need to search for it. Having our Lady Miss Park Avenue means we can shift for 3 a 5-cost Glimmer, meaning between our 5-cost Lady Miss Park Avenue, our Grandmother Willow, and our Lady Elegant Spaniel, they can all sing together that Under the Sea, helping Zan gain that early board control.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Kim. I did not see that coming, but I'm willing to bet that's not the first time Zan has pulled that move off in this tournament. It is not what we're used to seeing with Under the Sea, but David absolutely on the ropes now. We have a Nani stage manager being played, and that is going to let you look for another 2-cost card. But look at the body language of David here. He knows that that was a brutal blow that's just been struck by Zan Saeed here. Now, we do see an Ursula Deceiver being grabbed, but that would have been really great last turn to get rid of Under the Sea.
Yeah, but unfortunately for David, we did play that Grandmother Willow and a 1-drop and Lady Elegant Spaniel of our own, which were unfortunately sent under the deck. And that Ursula Deceiver, not going to be much use to us now. We just played this Nani stage manager. We've no other ink available to be able to also play an Ursula to stop another Under the Sea. But right now, this Nani has 3 strength. She's not going to be able to be targeted by an Under the Sea.
I mean, that is the one saving grace. Now, at least you're going to have something left if it comes down to it, but that is really not the position you want to be in, where you can go, well, at least I'm protected from an Under the Sea because I've only got 1 character with 3 strength. This is what we said about with the flowchart at the beginning of this game, Kim. You need to rebuild your board and hope a second Under the Sea doesn't come down. Because that's the thing, if you just rebuild your board, you know what Zan is going to try and do to you.
Yeah, most of the time when you're playing Lady Miss Park Avenue onto the board, you're normally hoping to bring back a 1 or 2 cost, up to 2 1 or 2 cost Glimmer characters back to your hand. But in this instant, she's also great for just singing Under the Sea.
Yeah, it works really quite nicely, and because you had the 2-cost Grandmother Willow with the other 1 cost, it meant you had exactly 8 and Under the Sea work. Now there's another ink here. Oh, and it's an Emerald Chromacon adding insult to injury as Zan Saeed here going, now I'm even better protected. Things are going from bad to worse for David, but remember, if we have a game 5, they will be going first. That is what they got for winning the first game.
Yeah, and it would have been nice for David there to have a Mowgli.
There we go.
I'm so sorry, folks. A Mowgli man club of his own to be able to get rid of that Emerald Chromacon from Zan's hand, but not playing any in his deck, only playing the 4 Ursula Deceivers, and that's when you have to you know, you give, you take. You're playing your Ursulas. You can get rid of those under the seas, but there's nothing and no item removal right now unless he's playing a sneaky You're Welcome. But I didn't see any of that in the deck list. So there's nothing right now he's going to be able to do against this pesky Emerald Chromacon. Nani can challenge in here, easily get rid of this Grandmother Willow, or a Lady Elegant Spaniel, but then Zan has the opportunity to bounce any one of these glimmers back to their player's hand.
Well, I just had a look at the deck list. There is no item removal, and you don't need to thank me. You're welcome.
Oh, what can I say except thank you for that. You're welcome.
We are having a look at David's side of the board here, and it is not looking like we want it to look. The 290 stage manager alone are not going to be enough to finish out this game. And even at this stage, there is an opportunity to potentially challenge through and go, look, I've got 3 frees on the board. I can use these to start taking out some of the glimmers on your side of the board. But it's so much less fun when there's an Emerald Chromacon. The Under the Sea surprise dropped without a trap turn free was big. But honestly, the idea that you could also drop the Emerald Chromacon straight afterwards might be backbreaking. We do see the Lady Decisive Dog coming down here, but it's not really putting much pressure on. No lore for David. Zan sitting on 4, but could be starting to run away with this game as it stands.
Yeah, didn't have many 1-drops previously to be able to be played, but these Nani stage managers coming in clutch. But we're going to see an Ursula Deceiver of Zan's own. Just to have a little look at David's hand. Unfortunately, no Under the Seas in the hand to be able to be discarded, essentially. But every information matters, every little piece of information, and just being able to know what cards are in David's hand to be able to be played. Maybe Zan is going to keep an Under the Sea in his hand, knowing if David plays these glimmers onto the board, well, they're all within range of being under the sea.
Well, here we come with that Lilo Escape Artist. That's going to quest for 2 next turn. And of course, we've been talking this game about the fact that Zan is choosing the Mowgli Man Club and David is instead going for Ursula Deceiver. It is a one of the Ursula Deceiver in Zan's deck. So he is very much going down the Mowgli Man Club route, but there is just one little extra Ursula Deceiver there as a fun little bonus.
Yeah, because why not when you don't get to have your Mowgli Man Club, or maybe sometimes you play your Mowgli first, or you play your Ursula first to discard the card, have a look at the hand, and then you kind of want to play your Mowgli and get rid of any items remaining and making your opponent discard them. But right now, looking like Zan's going to go on a quest, bringing us up to 6 lore.
And we might finally see a traditional game where one of the players actually quests up to 20 lore. We are 52 minutes in here. We are deep into game 4, but remember the timer at the top. It's for purely informational purposes. We are playing untimed. That timer has no impact on the game that we are playing. We see Lilo, Escape Artist, played by David. Clearly had a look at what Zan was doing and went, you know what, that's a good plan. I'm going to do that too. And now we are eyeing up a Daisy Duck Donald's date.
Yeah, and really important here to note, Ross, Zan didn't quest with the Lady Miss Park Avenue or the Ursula, meaning next turn he does have the ability, if he has it, to sing together another Under the Sea.
He absolutely does, protecting those characters. It won't get the Nani, but it will get the Lady, it will get the Lilo, it will get the Daisy Duck. And how many times this weekend have we seen these Amber players just going, I'm going to play Lilo Escape Artist every single turn? Well, you know what? You can kind of get around that by putting it under the deck.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to get rid of it. We see in Sapphire decks, they're able to send it into the Inkwell, but one way for Emerald decks to get rid of that pesky Lilo Escape Artist escaping back from the discard onto the board is by singing it Under the Sea and sending it to the bottom of the deck.
Absolutely it is. We're eyeing up a tramp here. It is a street smart dog. It is the bigger one. The one that draws a whole bunch of cards, the one that can be devastating for your opponent. We have 6 characters in play, so that's 6 cards drawn and then 6 discarded. Did he have any cards in hand? No, so it actually is just discarding 6 cards from the top of your deck.
Yeah, we're just going to play our Tramp Street Smart Dog, and then we're going to be able to quest with all of our other remaining glimmers, leaving our Lady Miss Park Avenue not exerted, but we are free to quest with everything else. And maybe Zan's debating here, will I quest with this Lady Miss Park Avenue? Because right now, if David is not able to get rid of his board, he's going to win the game.
And I'm looking at this right now, and Zan is getting very, very close to winning this. Essentially, you're 8 away now, and you do have 8 on the board. You've actually got 10. But you could potentially get a couple more law here. And then, you know, if your opponent can take out some characters, they can take out some characters. I like this. You go up to 14. Because if your opponent can challenge and take some out, they can challenge and take some out. You might as well get closer to winning the game. You're 6 law away here. We might actually see someone get to 20 law in this game.
And this might be the first game out of our best-of-5 finals. We're going to actually see one of our players get up to that all-important 20 lore total.
The actual win condition of the game might actually be met at the 4th time of asking. David very much on the ropes here. We're using 1 ink, and we are paying that. I believe that is the Tramp Enterprising Dog. We are using Daisy Duck to challenge in and banish. We're going to trade with the Lady. Worth remembering that Tramp Enterprising Dog would have given a 5 strength boost to Daisy Duck because there's 5 other characters on the board, making it a temporary 6-4. But then Emerald Chromicon comes in, and that's going to bounce the Glimmer back to David's hand.
Yeah, Zan this time choosing Lady Decisive Dog to bounce back to David's hand. It does have the choice to replay it, but we still have 3 ink available, it seems. Can choose to just replay it, or maybe we have another Nani Stage Manager perhaps, or maybe another card we don't know about.
I mean, we know most of the cards. We have had a good old look at the deck list. We even
have.
showed the lovely people at home the deck list.
We really did.
So you can't say we don't give you anything. Right now, we're giving you Game 4 of the Grand Finals here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Ghent. And we have got David on 0 law, sitting there opposite Zan Saeed on 14 law, who is looking like he's going to be forcing a Game 5 here in the finals. We do see Lady Elegant Spaniel, who I believe is going to be banished, but that means that we're going to bounce the other Nani Stage Manager back to the hand by virtue of that Emerald Chromicon.
Yeah, and right now, Zan Saeed still has game on board, meaning next turn, unless David is able to challenge another one of these Glimmers on Zan board, Zan will be able to quest to win.
And that is going to be Game 4. Zan takes it. There's nothing David can do. Zan, and I'm going to pretend he did quest all the way up to 20 for the first time in this match. We're going to a Game 5, Kim.
We're going to a Game 5. We never root for either players, but I love sharing more Disney Lorcana, and in this instance, for the grand final, it feels really fitting that both players going 2-2, we are going all the way to a grand finals, round 5, game 5 of our grand finals to find out which of our players is going to walk away from the Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent with an invitation to the World Championship.
Right, I'll be honest with you, Woody. I love you, man. I'm looking forward to Wilds Unknown like everybody else. We are kind of like 80% of the way through the grand finals of a 4,000-person tournament. So, Kim, I think you figured out the best way to get rid of these toys.
Andy's coming!
Andy's coming!
So we are going to head into Game 5, and look, David has won a 2,000-person tournament to get to this grand final, but so has Zan. Zan is playing a fantastic dogs list with which he's earned 42 points this weekend, but so is David. David has won 2 games in this match, but so has Zan. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, to choose between them, but it is worth pointing out David will be going first in this final game. Am I right in, because we've had a few games here, Kim, it's been an hour, right?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that David actually went second game 1,
Yep.
but had the amazing curve and essentially stole home court?
Yeah, he did indeed. Zan did start out the first game of our best-of-5 grand finals on the play, and this time reversing it. Like we talked about earlier, if we were able to just go back and forth and make it all the way to game 5, it did mean David this time round was going to be on the play. So the question remains, the way we've seen the winner take the game each time, who's going to get their tramp out first? Who's going to be able to sing Under the Sea. Last game, Zan took the win. Didn't even need to get a tramp out to sing that Under the Sea. All we needed to do was shift Lady Miss Park Avenue in between a tree, another dog, I believe, and
yes.
Lady Miss Park Avenue. They were all going to sing together that Under the Sea to really gain complete control of that board.
And the thing is, that actually happens to turn earlier than Tramp, because you essentially play the Miss Park Avenue on the turn you would have played Tramp, but you can immediately sing Under the Sea. That worked really well for Zan in the previous game. Could we see either players going for that route instead, trying to jump? And if one player is going to do it, I think it's more likely that Zan would try it, because they are essentially a turn behind here. They're going second, so maybe they can do what they did in the previous game and use that to take back that home court, jump over David despite going second. Oh no, there's been a disaster at the table.
Zan was liking those Under the Seas too much. He started to spill some water of himself to make him feel like he was going under the sea, it seems. But hopefully it didn't get anywhere on the cards. But I think we're just going to have to clean up a little spill a second. But still, showing the amazing Disney Lorcana community here in the room. Both players smiling. And both players have come so far regardless. Seeing like we're just going to clean up that little spill. And really just wanting to feel like he was a little bit under the sea.
I think we might be looking to maybe swap out the playmat. You can't see it, but there's people running around back here. Maybe we can find a dry playmat to carry on with the final game. It's not like we're trying to play Game 5 of the Grand Finals here or anything.
It almost feels like Zan spilled that water on purpose because he wanted to try to summon, like the Great Illuminary summoned our Illumineers to the Great Illuminary up in the sky. It feels like Zan tried to spill that water all over the place to trying to get under the sea and like summon that under the sea so he can get it first. But now we're ready. We got a new playmat, or maybe we dried the playmat. Who knows? Let's gonna call it a new playmat. But now we are finally ready, once Zan doesn't spill any more water, to bring you our Game 5 of our final round, until we find out which of one of our Lumineers here is going to walk away with their hands on a ticket to the World Championship.
And this is it now, right? We have shown you so much Disney Lorcana this weekend. We are out. This is it. This is the last game. We've shown you all the way through day 1 twice. We've shown you all the way through day 2, top 32, top 16, top 8, top 4, the final, and now the grand final, because we, of course, had 2 finals from our 2 days. There's nothing else to show you. We're 4 games into our best of 5 grand final. Worth noting, were it a best of 3, David would have already punched his ticket to the World Championships. Now, instead, we're playing a best of 5. Could Zan use this extra game to actually even things up? Be careful with the water, guys!
Don't spill the water. We don't want to summon, but there's the sportsmanship, just showing how beautiful our Disney Lorcana community is. And he's keeping that water way far away from the playmat this time.
We don't have infinite playmats. They're very big.
And it seems like both of our players are now ready to go. We're ready to go. I'm ecstatic. Russ, how are you feeling?
My hype level's pretty high right now. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm at a solid, 9 out of 10 hype level.
Not a 52 out of 10?
Yeah, it feels a lot more like a 52. Where'd 52 come from?
I don't know. It's the first number I thought of.
Okay, I'm at 60 out of 10 because that's what we're playing with.
I should have said 42 because both of these players made it into the grand final on 42 points, and that would have been more flavorful, don't you think?
If I had a time machine, Kim, I would go back, and that would be a way better way to do it. But we are getting ready here to start rolling in Game 5. I do believe we are just finishing up the altering hand phase. And is that a 6 card? Yes, Zan is altering his hand by 6 cards here. He has kept a single card. I didn't see what it was. He's only kept 1. The other 6 are going to the bottom of the deck. And we're just going to shuffle up here. And once we're shuffled up, we're going to get rolling. David is going to be our player who is going first. First time they can ink a card. First person to play a card. If we go by the regular curve, the first person to get to Under the Sea. But Zan showed us in the last game, there's more than one way to sing Under the Sea with a pack of dogs. There's a better way to phrase that, but right now, there's the fist bump, and we are going with our last game of the day, Game 5, the decider in the Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent Grand Final. Shout out to the crowd for making some noise.
Yeah, and we do see those opening hands, but of course, this time it is going to be David on the play. Didn't start off this best of 5 grand finals on the play, but he's going to end it on the play, and it is going to be Lady Decisive Dog into the inkwell, and there's my favorite. Spray Cheese Kid. It's been a long day. I'm already forgetting his sub name, but it is none other than Bobby Zimmerowski.
It is 11:15 local time, but we are not leaving until we've crowned a champion here. And look, job number 1 for David is done here. He needed to have that turn 1 drop. He's got it. Turn 2, you want the Grandmother Willow, and then we cascade down from there. Turn 1, he got what he wanted. Now, we should be able to Zan here, because there's nothing else David can do. Play 1 ink, play 1 card, move over. Zan clearly having a bit of a discussion with himself about what the correct card to ink is. And this is very important, because this is a final game.
No, but you see here, Ross, we're still waiting for David to decide what card we're going to discard, and that card we're going to discard is Lady Elegant Spaniel.
Absolutely right. My apologies there, Kim. You're right. We needed to resolve that ability on Bobby Zimmerowski here. It is Rhino 1/16th Hamster, and it is a, just matching there. Zan playing the Bobby Zimmerowski, your favorite Spray Cheese Kid, as that 1 drop. So both players got what they wanted on turn 1. Worth noting, nobody played a lady, and that would potentially have given that shift option down the line.
Yeah, there's no lady at all, but we could potentially next turn see that Grandmother Willow into a 1-drop lady, and David here with his Bobby Zimmerowski discarding a Lady Elegant Spaniel. Maybe he has another one in hand, wants to take Zan's plan of being able to drop a Grandmother Willow, drop a 1-drop lady, and then being able to turn after to shift our Lady Miss Park Avenue and then sing Under the Sea to gain complete control. And I have a feeling Zan might have that Lady Elegant Spaniel, or a lady anyway, Miss Park Avenue quite possibly in hand when I got a sneaky look-see at his hand there.
But you would also need the Under the Sea in hand as well. One of the reasons why that tramp is so gosh darn good is not just because you can play it cheaply and use it to sing Under the Sea, but it also helps you to find Under the Sea. So that play that Zan pulled off in Game 4, phenomenal play, but it only works if you've got the Lady Miss Park Avenue and Under the Sea in hand so that you can chain those 2 cards together. Now, Zan is, well, we've played our card here.
We're also still waiting to decide what to discard, and it is going to be Lady Decisive Dog for Zan being discarded off Bobby Zimmerowski's ability. So cheesy.
It is the other 1-drop lady that does get discarded here. So now we're back over to David. Doesn't have the turn 2 Grandmother Willow. You hate to see it. Not getting that so quickly here. Had the 1-drop, but didn't have the Grandmother Willow. And if I'm Zan, I'm going, hang on a second. He's just whiffed that perfect curve, and if you go first and have the perfect curve, huge advantage. Now can Zan play that Grandmother Willow, and also you now don't need to rush for that Lady Miss Park Avenue to try and kind of take that advantage back. If you're the only one with Grandmother Willow, you don't need to rush for the unorthodox play.
And it's looking here like it's Emerald Chromicon being discarded off our Bobby Zimmerowski, the third Bobby Zimmerowski actually in this game. And what a fitting game. Feels like a full circle moment. Feels like, oh, we were only talking about Bobby Zimmerowski in Bologna DLC. And here he is, the 4th Bobby Zimmerowski so far in this final Game 5 of our grand final, going into the inkwell, meaning we can use that extra ink to play a Lady Decisive Dog.
Oh, and it's whiffing the turn 2 Grandmother Willow from Zan as well. We are neck and neck here. Both players just getting those 1-drops down, but does Zan have a second 1-drop to match what David is doing here? It is worth noting that there is a lady on the board here, but without Grandmother Willow, even if you shift up, you will only have 7 cost to sing with. It won't be enough. Now, we are playing that Tramp Enterprising Dog. We're giving the strength boost to Lady, but I think it's largely irrelevant here.
Yeah, I think we actually buffed up that Bobby Zimmerowski.
Oh, apologies.
Seems like we're building a taller, leaning tower of cheese.
Still, unfortunately, irrelevant, but yes, taller tower of cheese.
Why not?
You did not see how much cheese I had on the pasta for lunch. It was an impressive leaning tower of cheese up. Right now, we've got a Nani stage manager for David here, and this is going to allow him to go and search for another 2-cost or lower card. It is that Tramp Enterprising Dog. Where's all the Grandmother Willow? I can't see the forest for the trees there. There's no trees around.
No, we're staying away from the trees this time round, Ross, because everyone wants to build the Leaning Tower of Cheesa as another Bobby Zimmerowski goes into the inkwell.
And it's under the sea again from Zan. He's done exactly what he did back in Game 4. He's got the 2-drop in the case of Tramp Enterprising Dog. He shifts up into the Lady Miss Park Avenue, combined with a 1-cost Bobby Zimmerowski. That is 8 cost worth of characters. You sing together under the sea, and David's board is looking poor.
Yeah, looks like it's only being managed there by the stage manager. Nani wasn't able to be targeted by that under the sea, but still, now this turn, we know we were able to get a card from Nani last turn into our hand, so there is a few cards we can play, but sadly, this Tramp Street Smart Dog going into the inkwell can't be played this turn. Well, if those other glimmers were able to stay to the board, but sadly sent to the bottom of the deck, it instead is going to be Tramp Enterprising Dog coming into play. We're not going to buff the Nani and challenge. We are just going to establish another glimmer to the board.
We talked at the beginning of the game about whether one of the players would try and copy what Zan did back in Game 4, getting that Lady Miss Park Avenue out and using that as a vessel to sing under the sea. David did not have the cost on the board to make it happen, but Zan, because he had that Tramp, it meant he could. Now remember, because you had Lady, that Tramp became a 1-cost. But even though you only pay 1 cost, it still represents as a 2-cost on the board. And when what we're looking at is the amount of cost you need to sing under the sea, that makes all of the difference here.
Yeah, not to forget, Ross, there's no lore on the board. I believe it was the last game. Was it the last game was the only game we saw the Lord actually reach a total of 20, and I don't believe it even reached a total of 20. I think we're pretending it reached a total of 20, because right now, Zan and David, there's no lore between them. It is still anybody's game. But Zan being able to sing the first Under the Sea must be feeling like he's in a pretty good position. And another, is that the 4th Bobby Zimmerowski perhaps? It may be the 5th Bobby Zimmerowski we've seen
5
between them coming into the game. The real star cheese student of the game today, meaning Zan is going to be able to draw a card. He's going to be able to discard a card. Does seem like he discarded the Emerald Chromicon, and we are going to be also playing a Lady Decisive Dog to the board, and then we can finally start getting some lore on the board, bringing Zan's lore total up to 4.
And this is what you see. Dan played Under the Sea, or sang Under the Sea, and he had such a big advantage from that. He's now going, look, my board's way better than yours. You are now forced to try and interact with my board in a way that I don't. And if you build up your board too much, I can sing Under the Sea in a way that you can't. So for the time being, I'm just going to sit here and quest. And if you build up too much of a board, I'm going to Under the Sea ya. And if you don't build up too much of a board, I'm going to outrace you. It is a great position to be if you are Zan. Was that just a pass from David there?
That was just a pass with David there. We could have used both of our glimmers to challenge into this Lady Miss Park Avenue, but it seems like we just drew a card and passed. 3 cards in the hand for David. It is hardly the 3 Under the Seas in his deck.
Is it actually?
I've no idea, but
Okay.
I'm just hypothesizing.
It can't be a very good hand, not if you are drawing and passing. And we saw that David broke serve in game 1. After that, games 2, game 3, game 4, the player going first actually was the player victorious. We see Tramp, Street Smart Dog coming down. It's going to draw 5 cards and then discard 5 cards. Zan's not going to have a large hand, but he is going to have a hand which is basically exactly what he wants it to be at this stage. He can then quest out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, putting him up to 12. Zan actually, if he just quests out with what's on the board, he will be, not on game next turn, not on match next turn, on tournament next turn. Tournament on board.
Yeah, it's looking really great for Zan Saeed here. And we also have the potential, if we do have an Under the Sea, to also get rid of this Tramp Enterprising Dog. Could be teamed up with the likes of Adela Moon's Lullaby. But we are going to be discarding those 5 cards. And David wanted to have a look at them. Here you go, have a look at my discard. And get ready, because it's another Tramp.
Oh, my word, Kim, that was impressively done. And the thing is, because you had 6 glimmers down, that's a 1-cost Tramp. But then you get to draw 6 and discard 6. Are we looking for Emerald Chromacon?
Maybe we're looking for an Emerald Chromacon, but it's kind of strange that we discarded one with Bobby Zimmerowski than the turn before instead of keeping it in hand to play. But instead, maybe we're just looking for a Delamoon's Lullaby and an Under the Sea, perhaps, to just really take control of the board. Or maybe we're just playing another Tramp for the funsies. We're going to discard a load of cards, and then we're just going to fully quest out to win. Or maybe we were hoping to draw into another Tramp Enterprising Dog, leaving our Lady Decisive Dog. So next turn, we will be able to quest.
There's 10 on board for next turn, which means if Zan doesn't quest with one more thing here, then unfortunately will not quite have game on board next turn. What I like to call cheeky lore gained in a way other than by questing, is not something we see in this deck. Well, I don't think there's a Go-Go Tamago in here. So either way, it's not something we're expecting to see. And what that means is that you are going to have to wait one more turn to potentially take down the tournament, but it doesn't look like we do. It looks like that is going to be... Is that the concession? Have we had it already conceded?
Yeah,
yes, we have!
Zan Saeed is your winner. Must have had that Tramp Enterprising Dog in hand, because if he had exactly that, it would have crossed the finish line, giving that Lady Decisive Dog enough lore to be able to quest up for not only a total of 20, but he would have gotten over the finish line into a total of 21 lore. And there's all his buddies really showing the full community of the Disney Lorcana. And look at the smile on his face. You've got to be proud. And congratulations to both of our players. And a massive congratulations to Zan Saeed, who is your champion of the Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Ghent in Belgium.
Takes it 3 games to 2. Break serve in that final game, and when he absolutely had to. And it was games 4 and 5 in a row with that Lady Miss Park Avenue. Going out and getting that, getting the Under the Sea a little bit earlier than he otherwise would. And the difference, you don't get the draw with the Tramp, okay? So you don't get to draw into the Under the Sea. What you do get to do is shift up and see it right now. Not have to worry about anything else. That is the difference. And it worked in game 4. So Zan said, you know what? It worked so well in game 4. I'm going to do it in game 5 as well.
Yeah, what amazing stories we've told here today, Ross. And Zan Saeed coming out on top, even though David managed to win that first game, won the second game. Zan crawled all the way back, doing a kind of reverse sweep in a way, being able to take that win. And Zan Saeed is going to be your champion of Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was just phenomenally well played. Zan cementing himself as one of the absolute best players in the game, winning another Disney Lorcana Challenge and getting that invite to the World Championship for the 2nd year in a row. There are not going to be many players who are able to do it in in season 1 and then again in season 2. But Zan is one of the players who is going to be able to do it. It's ways to be seen who else is going to join him there. But for now, we have Zan absolutely cemented as one of the very, very best players in the world.
Yeah, and not only that, Ross, your recommendation, your prediction to take it and win it all is none other than Amber Emerald, the winner. It was going to win either way.
Oh, yes.
But the winning deck of this grand final of the entire tournament here in Ghent this weekend was none other than Amber Emerald.
I thought it was the best deck by a bit of a margin coming in. I don't always feel this bullish about my prediction coming into an event. I felt very, very bullish about my prediction coming into this DLC in Ghent because I really did feel that there was a bit of a gap between your Amber Emerald Dogs deck and essentially every other deck. This is not like your traditional aggro deck that can get a lot of characters out quickly and quest. It can do that, absolutely, and against slower decks, that's your win condition. But what it can also do is take advantage of things like Mowgli, Mancub, and Ursula Deceiver for a little bit of disruption, and then getting under the sea. But look, we've got a champion. What good is it if we don't crown them and give them a trophy? So let's go and congratulate our champion.
Welcome to Disney Lorcana Challenge, and finally we have crowned our grand champion for this event, and it is our pristine honor to now award our first and second place with their prizes.
Yes, and to help us along with that, we're excited to welcome Steve Warner, who has joined us here this weekend. Thanks so much, Steve, for being here. And we are excited to welcome our players. I have to say, it was a long weekend. You could say it was a rough challenge to get here, but we are going to pause and celebrate these players. So if we can invite up in second place, Davide Restivo from Italy. Congratulations. Congratulations. Come on over here, Davide. Congratulations again to you. It was a trial this weekend, 4,000 players, and to get to this point is really wonderful. I just wanted to ask you, what advice would you have for any Illumineers out there who want to compete in Disney Lorcana? What advice you would have for them?
Just play as much as possible, and you will get good.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Let's give it up one more time for Davide. Thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
And now, for our grand champion who has stamped his ticket one more time to the World Championship, I present to you the champion of DLC Ghent, Zan Zaid!
Congratulations. Congratulations, Zan. Two-time Disney Lorcana Challenge champion. Well, Zan, you have literally been traveling the world to earn that invite. You had the invite to the championships, but now you have the invite to the World Championship. How do you feel?
I feel incredible, and I'm going to Disney World.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
And I'm going to ask you the same question as a man that has already been to Worlds and has finally stamped his ticket back there. I know firsthand, as soon as Worlds ended last year, the first question on your mind is, how am I getting back into this room? Please, I'd like to ask you, to any players watching now that want to be in the position that you're in, what is the most important quality to be a Disney Lorcana champion?
Never give up. Never give up. Anything can happen. Your dreams can come true. And this was one of mine.
One more time. Give it up for our champion of DLC Ghent, Zan Zaid!
Congratulations. Let's invite our casting team up here.
Let's get you back on.
Kim, Joe, Ross, Jen, we are so thankful to be working with such a wonderful team. We also want to give a huge shout out to everyone who was involved in the production this weekend, the event, the lore guides. Let's give it up for the lore guides.
Yes, come on.
Thank you to Fanfinity, to everyone from Ravensburger for everything. Honestly, Disney Lorcana Challenge Ghent, we've said it over and over again, but this event was incredible.
One of the best DLCs by far. But that's it. Until in June, we will be back with 2 more DLCs in Dortmund and Indianapolis, and that will be Infinity format. It is sure to be chaotic. It is sure to be exciting, but I think we can all agree that Disney Lorcana has changed so many lives. We're going to see you very soon. Give it up one more time for your champion, Zan Saeed! Bye-bye, everybody! Bye.